opportunity from the Shine, and Chi2 and DTCL doing well. Chi2 with another top 3. Esha with another top 3 going for top 1. We might see another double kill. The Lucian Culling trying to face off. The 280 players going off against each other here. And DTCL is trying to survive. Again, it's a fight for second as Esha gets an easy win versus the Ghost. And Chi2 gets the win.
Okay, Esha versus Chi2 for our 1v1. But Esha just feels like a shoo-in to win this one. Let's see if he can find something to seal the deal here. No important stuff like a Shroud or Banshees or anything like that, so it's more just kind of like what generically good item can you grab. He finds a Death Cap, looking for that more sort of like side carry potential. He can throw it on the Fiddlesticks, I suppose.
Yep, Fiddlesticks is very good. So the one hope that Chi2 has is whether or not this Akshan 2 can dodge the Vel'Koz beam. And he's spreading out his units. He has all these ironclads. Is he going to tech any Mystics, or is he just going to hope that this is good enough? Because at this point, I don't even think Mystics can help. I think it's crowd control, CC, teching a Diana, throwing something as a way to try to disrupt that Vel'Koz. Esha was on the other side where he eliminated the Vel'Koz 3. Can he do it here?
All right, well, eyes on the Akshan 2 right now. He's going to try to swing behind the Vel'Koz. Here comes the cast, though. Oh, the Akshan dodges with that swing, gets back in front though. Oh no, he gets tossed out, and that is gonna be it. Esha with the first place. You can see the pop off, and what a day he is having already. A third and a first. Oceania has come to play, Frodan.
Hands up, Esha is coming for that world championship crown. 16 points on the board. Well done, and Oceania may claim the world championship. We could be witnessing the birth of our third TFT world champion, Doa.
I mean, you know, Esha, you can just use that meme, right? Where it's like, people called me a for fun streamer, and I took that personally. And here he is, like, possibly, he's potentially 2 games away from winning Worlds. Like, that's insane, isn't it?
Ooh, that is super, super exciting, especially because Esha is Oceania's lone representative coming into the TFT Reckoning World Championship. So definitely doing Oceania proud right now. And Esha on a hot streak. I hope he's going to be able to keep that up, especially because he still needs to pass that 18-point threshold and then take another first. So still a ton to play for, especially Frodan, when you consider the fact that there were a lot of people that were towards the top of lobby or game 1 that were sort of towards the bottom in game number 2.
Yeah, for a couple of those players, yes, and for others, it felt like they were just reaffirming their positions. Either way, we're guaranteed at least to go to Game 4. I don't believe anyone's able to cross that point threshold, but we are starting to see the narratives form. Some players who are really far behind are going to have to take some bigger risks in order to get those top finishes. We don't have the point threshold cut off at the normal spots. In the regional qualifiers, you see a jump from 5th to 4th, and then from 2nd to 1st. We have a jump this time from 3rd to 2nd. And then 2nd to 1st. So being able to get that top 1 is a big deal, but so is being able to try to land that 2nd. I wonder who is going to change their strategy in order to get those top 2 finishes.
Yeah, that's right. Just looking at the points right now, I believe Esha and Chi2 are both tied for 16. So we've got a number of players that are able to cross that 18-point threshold, though. Mbappe, 12 points now, I believe, at the math, if my math is correct. He could also cross the 18-point threshold this game. So theoretically, depending on what happens, we could have 3 players able to win it in game 4.
Well, there was a ton of exciting action in game number 2. Let's relive some of those moments. Frodan, Doa.
So for game number 2, we saw some people reverse the roles. Players who are doing really well, who were streaking weren't exactly doing the same. And for players like Delicious Milk, he got off that AP train and decided instead to go for the Kled reroll back to his original routes. But I do want to call out a player like Chi2. He took a very unusual route to get to his top 2 in terms of making something like a Cavalier emblem onto Nidalee. That's one of those interactions that you just have to play a lot of the game and recognize that is an opportunity that you can seize in the mid game to capitalize on your tempo.
Yeah, I mean, and the next step to that too is being able to take that mid game tempo in ways that people haven't expected and transition that into a very strong late game board. And I think honestly that's where the biggest degree of skill is shown, in my opinion, in teamfight tactics, because it's fairly easy, I think, to learn to be able to get a solid early game and a solid mid game going. That it's making those transitions out of that huge multitude of mid games that work into a strong late game, into a top 4 late game where, the skill is best shown, and G2 did such a great job being able to do that this time.
Whew, just look at those rays from Esha, and the most important thing was Esha recognizing his win condition. A lot of times, I think people push level 9 too much. Level 9 is pretty fake for Vel'Koz. It doesn't really feel like it gives you enough of a significant power boost. Heck, even level 8 at times feels kind of fake for Vel'Koz in terms of stabilizing your health total. And you can recognize here from Esha with that fast 8 at 4-2 and rolling it down, stabilizing, getting really powerful items, the Earth Angel Staff with the Death Cap. That's just so much AP, and was able to ride that pony all the way to a first.
Yeah, I mean, Zhixing as well did a pretty decent job of positioning this Lucian to take advantage of things like the Draven positioning that we're seeing from Nukomaru, not in this particular round, but if you think about what were the things that gave Zhixing the top 4 over some of the other players in the lobby, it was really just great positioning from the Lucian specifically. So if you want to learn about Lucian positioning, that's a game to go back and watch, I think.
Wow, and it's just the moment you can recognize that Esha was in a really good spot, stuck to his guns, the football touchdown with his hands up. Let's go, Esha, Oceania World Champion. I am down. Esha is just playing on fire. He prepped so much for this tournament. He was streaming all the time. He was getting coaching, VOD reviews. Everyone put in a lot of work. But this man, it feels great to watch hard work be rewarded in the way that it has been so far.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you check out our lobby, it's pretty tight as far as our maybe top 5 or so go. And again, you really want to watch those top 3 because those are the players that have a chance with a win. I suppose our 9-point players do too. If you get 10 points for a win, they've got a chance to cross that 18-point threshold. So from here on out, Frodan, basically after the next game is where it's going to get really hype.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen, especially when you take a look at the fact that, like, SM Mbappe, won game number 1, didn't do so great in game number 2, but that point threshold, or that point differential between first, second, and third has been enough to keep him in the top 3 for right now. So I think that should give a lot of hope to the players that are kind of still sitting towards the bottom of the standings right now, that moving forward, a good finish for them could catapult them into contention for that win. So we're gonna go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we're gonna have that game number 3.
Draw me in, take my hand. Now you know me better than I do.
best of me. It's time to get a move on. Cause I know the rest of me is destiny to get strong. I can feel the dark emerging, time for purging my wrong. It's time to shine the light, I've held it for too long. You gotta give me way more time, and we'll be better down the line. Cause now my heart is in a bind, and baby I don't wanna waste your life. Bringing out the best of me, it's time to get a move on. Cause I know the rest of me is destiny to get strong. I can feel the dark emerging, time for purging my wrong. It's time to shine the light, I've held it for too long. You gotta give me way more time, and we'll be better down the line. Cause now my heart is in a bind, and baby I don't wanna waste your life.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the TFT Reckoning World Championships. We are in the midst of the battle to see who is going to cross that 18-point threshold first. And to talk us through game number 3, let's go ahead and bring in our lovely casters. Doa, welcome back to the casting desk, and Bryce, welcome to the show. You know, I really want to pick your brain about some of these players that are towards the bottom of the standings right now, especially because you've been able to watch behind the scenes of what's going on. And one player I'd like to focus on in particular is Shurikane from Europe. He put on astounding performances during the group qualifiers to be able to make it into the group stage, and it seems like he's struggling a little bit today.
Ouch. Wow.
Yeah, apologies everyone for technical difficulties. I was just saying, I really want to know who this person is and what they have done with Shurikane. You know, Shurikane is a player that has played tempo throughout the tournament in both the group stages and in the play-ins themselves. He's rolled a bunch of gold at 7. He's played very wide. Both these games he's wound up fast 8ing. He's tried to stabilize boards on 2 lives, and he's gotten a little bit dizzy in making these transitions. He's someone who I think had played probably the cleanest tournament overall to date and really struggled, but hey, you know what? In this format, it's okay. There's plenty of time for him to come back, get over that threshold, and then win on a checkmate. So I'm hoping we see the Shurikane that got him here instead of the Shurikane we've seen so far in games 1 and 2.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, this is the World Championships. This is the final lobby of the World Championships. So the nerves are going to be very high. And for a player like Shurikane, you can be the greatest player in the world, but when it gets to this position, the pressure just gets to be so much that becomes as much of a battle as a battle you're playing against the rest of the people in the lobby. So even for a player like Shurikane that's looks so stable, like, sometimes you just see this. But we're 2 games in now. Hopefully the nerves have been shaken off. This is usually kind of how it goes in the past. I feel like in other Worlds final lobbies, we've seen this too, where good players might struggle a little bit, but then kind of like bring it back around and be like, all right, game 3, I'm kind of in the groove again. I can kind of play my style. I'm not being distracted by the moment as much. So hopefully we'll see that improvement from Shurikane, but it's going to be interesting either way.
I think for all of the players that are sitting towards the bottom of the standings right now, they've had a couple of games to warm up, get a feel for how the different play styles are going to mesh when all 8 of these phenomenal players from multiple different regions are coming together in the final lobby of today. And so, you know, you might need a little bit of warm-up time to get a good feel of what's going on. But it's time to get into our game number 3. So Doa and Bryce, have fun with this one.
All right, thank you, Necro. We definitely will have a ton of fun with this, Bryce, from making sure nobody's cheating me in esports by making my contracts perfect to now co-casting Teamfight Tactics with me. What a journey it's been for you, and it's great that we get to cast a game of Worlds like this. And this day so far has been so interesting because we've seen things like Milk not play Kled, right? Which for this tournament was pretty unprecedented. We know he can play other stuff. Tried it, didn't work out. That last Kled game, though, it looked like it was going to be very good, but then just at the very end, the positioning just didn't seem to favor him, it seems like. But we're seeing about managing that loss streak, right? And Shurikane is one of those players that needs to have a bigger win, so he's going to be, even in game 3, he's going to need to be one of those players that takes those bigger risks, right? So hopefully it pans out for him. We want to see a close finish. Let's go check out Jixing Che's board here. Jixing Che right now, 9 points, another one of our players that could theoretically, with a good enough finish, get over that threshold. Interesting set of items here. He's got, all right, got the Kazakhs too, got a good amount of brawlers.
Indeed. Yeah, choosing not to slam any
open.
items. We have seen
Yeah.
some players slamming Infinity Edge so far in this tournament. Not a slam I like overall with the change to critical damage at some point
I
earlier in
agree.
the set. It's just not adding a lot of value from a damage perspective. Going up against Esha, who has a relatively weak board and has not slammed any items himself, but it's not weak enough apparently to be able to deal with it. The funny thing about Jixing Che's board is that while he was full win streaking, his damage is extremely dubious. When you are all in on Kazakhs as an early game damage source, it all comes down to whether or not you're able to isolate units and kill them. The Kazakhs on the wrong side gets into the pack of those 3 Cavaliers, and it gets multiple ultimates off, but not able to kill anything because of the buddy system from those Cavaliers. So will not be win streaking. Our only player at 100 HP still is Mbappe.
Right, I'm looking at the sidebar now to see what the items are looking. All right, Hwanmi was a bunch of gloves. He picks up the sword as well, so we could go like IE Last Whisper or something like that. Haven't seen, I don't recall what was on his board yet. Meanwhile, Shurikane picks up a rod, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Really interesting to take a look at this uncombined item chart. You have 3 players with 4 components. You have a bunch of players with 2 components still open as well. Not as much tempo-based item slamming as we're used to seeing. It feels like it matches the overall tenor of the lobby so far. It's been a lot of kind of first or 8th oriented gameplay, which is a little surprising to me at this stage of the tournament. But if everyone is leaning into that path, then I sort of get it. Meanwhile, you have Nukumaru, who has slammed an early Rage Blade onto the Zyra, has the 4 Spellweavers with that early Vel'Koz.
That's fast.
Yeah, that's very fast. A little bit unfortunate. He slams the Rage Blade and is leaning towards playing a Zyra-based composition at this point, and then hits the high roll early Vel'Koz.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one where you, I mean, you've still got the tier, so I guess you could still do like a Shojin's later for it, but you're going to be a little bit split, right? And the problem with this is that your front line is going to just be a little bit weak here. The Vel'Koz gets a cast off, but barely before it gets cut down by the Olaf from Delicious Milk. And Olaf just, again, playing like a strong tempo board as well as he can, but it's interesting to go back to the item conversation a little bit. See players like Jixing Che like saving 4 components, and again we talked about how he really needs, in order to cross that threshold, like a first basically. So you're gonna wait and really try to like best in slot something, right? Because I think the mindset there is, we talk about in-game tempo, there's also lobby tempo throughout the course of the day, right? And a first will get him over that threshold, right? Anything else will get him close enough that he can just get it that next game, right? So might as well play a high risk, first or nothing style this game too.
Well, I would actually disagree with that. I think that the way in which I would approach the situation is, if you have 9 points like Jixing Che does or like Nukumaru does, you are not guaranteed to get there in 2 games. If you play a first-rate style and you take the 8th, you go from 9 points to 10 points, and you're in a situation where you must get a top 2 to then get over the threshold. So if I were in their shoes, how I would be approaching it is, let's try to get a good start and try to get us into a position to be able to top 4, and then put us into kind of a spot where we're guaranteed to get there in 2 games. And then at some point in time, around stage 4, you have to make a decision. Okay, I'm no longer just playing for top 4. I'm playing to go first. But if you play first-rate style from the very beginning, you could be taking yourself and putting yourself in a really tough position where you're not able to actually get into the point threshold until game 5 or game 6, or sorry, game 6 or game 7, which is not ideal. So it just depends on kind of the approach of the player and how they want to tackle it. But that, you're right, it's part of the fun of this is there's a kind of macro tournament meta to overlay the lobby meta itself.
Yeah, you gotta factor in that player style, and you're not wrong, but then he's really greeting those item components, so it makes you wonder a little bit. We're gonna go over Shurikane's board for now. Shurikane, 68 HP. He's been dropping rapidly, but he's built up a good amount of gold here. He's got 2 item removers just in case, I guess. Item-wise, though, he really wanted a bow, I think, to theoretically finish off that Runan's Hurricane. Let's see what he can find on this roll down now, though.
Yeah, choosing to actually hyper roll, not something we've seen a lot of recently. Most players have elected to kind of play the slow roll where you stay above 50 gold. I don't expect to see him roll much past 30 in this situation, particularly since he hasn't found any more veins. Very unlucky. He is still rolling. He's 1 vein away. Okay, so we are online. He's going to be able to, he found the upgraded Knight front line as well, so he's in quite a good position, though, as you mentioned, without the bow for the Runin's Hurricane, it essentially cuts your Vayne DPS in half, so absolutely expecting Shurikane to prioritize bow at all costs on the next carousel.
Yeah, you really need to. I mean, at least with the Vayne 3, you're going to be, winning some rounds now. Maybe not winning a lot. You're going to kind of go win-loss a little bit. But he does get the win over Nukomaru, at least, to start things off. And more than anything, it feels like, Bryce, you just kind of need to, like, stem the flow of HP right now that's been draining out of you for the game. 68 rather, it's not bad. And as soon as he gets that, if he gets that 4 Knights mid-game online, he's going to feel a lot more stable. There's a Nautilus getting put in right now. So this is, despite lacking the damage on Vayne, it's still a good moment of stabilization for him at least, and he needs it. That's a breath of relief at least for Shurikane.
Yeah, he's been off to a tough start, as we talked about during the break. He's in a really good spot, though. I mean, this is a very, very strong 3-2 board. 4 Knights with the Sunfire Slam, multiple of them upgraded, a Vayne 3, right? That board's going to do a lot of work. I would expect it to win the majority of the stage. The only people he might lose to are someone who is really, really high rolled or rolled a bunch of gold on 3-2 and hit like a 2-star 3-cost carry that's going to be able to overwhelm the board with some meaningful amount of tankiness. So we see Delicious Milk going up against S. Mbappe. These are the 2 win-streaking players in the lobby, though. This is an incredibly impactful fight for the macro dynamic, and Milk is getting rolled over here. It is not close. It is a 5-unit loss for Delicious Milk. S. Mbappe protecting his 100 HP streak.
Yeah, I mean, that, like you said, that was not close at all. Mbappe looks very strong. But, again, that kind of tends to be Mbappe. First or 8th, occasionally a 7th. But, he plays well, right? Let's check out Delicious Milk's board a little bit longer. The Skirmisher Sentinel, a strong early board, but this is about the time in the game, too, where it does start to maybe drop off a little bit, especially if you haven't rolled much, and you can see Delicious Milk really hasn't, and other boards in the lobby have around that 3-2 mark. So maybe some little bit of tweaking incoming for this board to try to update a little bit. That said, do you think maybe like a 3-5 level 7 is on the menu, or do you just kind of like read it onto a 4-1?
I would be surprised to see him 3-5 it here, because under the circumstances, he's, like you said, this carry is going to get outscaled. He's almost certainly going to lose this fight to Esha, who has the 2-star MF in the backline. That cast is going to do an enormous amount of work onto the board, although the Olaf is actually getting access onto the backline, potentially. Thresh saves it. Olaf runs back. It does have a BT here. Oh, no, it turns the wrong way. There it goes. It's going back for the Misfortune, and it's able to out-sustain the damage. Now, will he have enough units left alive to kill this Hecarim by the time it's all said and done? That is the question. They are burning away. Here comes the Hecarim ulti. Olaf does look to have this fight. Very big win for Delicious Milk. The reason why I wouldn't 3-5 in this situation, to return to your question, Doa, is that he does want to play Jax, right? With the BT and the Last Whisper Slam, these are really good Jax items, and I think he needs a meaningful amount of gold in order to transition away, have a better chance of finding the Jax, and I don't think he's, streaking hard enough or has enough gold to justify a 3-5 play under the set of circumstances.
Makes a lot of sense. Seeing the lobby distribute some of these items here. Esha went for the tier, couldn't find it, gonna settle for the rod instead. Esha right now only the Sunfire Cape and the Dragon's Claw slammed at the moment. And the funny thing is, we've been seeing so much AP both in yesterday's lobby and now in today's lobby that I feel like in day 1 and 2 you just would never see a Dragon Claw getting slammed, but here we are with 2 of them in this game already.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's a mini tournament meta that evolves where it was really heavily AD, and then we started to see a little bit more AP, and then with Lobby 1, 4 different AP players that changes the mentality of the lobby in terms of how you're thinking about Cloak, in terms of item prioritization and your willingness to slam a D-class. So I really like that adaptation from Esha, understanding that the way in which the Grand Finals lobby meta is evolving, a D-claw actually is going to have some meaningful amount of value.
Yeah. Let's check out Nukomaru's board right now. Doesn't look like the strongest board in the world, but you can see if he finds another Kha'Zix and another component to prevent himself from finishing that Chalice on it, you could start to get some momentum going here. The monstrosity comes out, and wow, is this actually just going to be enough?
It is going to be enough.
Okay,
Mbappe taking another loss, so he was 100 HP and now falling yet again a couple of back-to-back losses, and relatively important stabilization from Nukomaru, whose board is a lot of 1-stars.
Yeah, seriously. That's why at the beginning of that round I was like, oh, this doesn't look the strongest, but the synergies were there, the Sunfire Cape was doing work, the crowd control was there. This Radiant Shop though,
is a BG situation, and Nakamura's face says it all. This is a man that has been relatively inflappable. We've seen him have some crazy high rolls. He had a Aphelios 2 on 3-2 and basically just stared blankly into the camera, but this Radiant shot, though, is giving him some consternation. He's sitting back in his chair. He is staring at it. It doesn't matter how long you stare at it, buddy. Their options are not getting any better, I am sorry to say.
Right. I mean, what do you even go with here? I mean, he's going to go, I was going to say Hextech Lifeblade is probably what it's going to have to be. And I mean, that is going to, in theory, keep your Vel'Koz safer later, or you can put it on a couple other things, but rough shot for sure. Meanwhile, we're going to check out this G2 versus Shurikane. Shurikane, oh, he found the Radiant Runins. That's what the wow from Bryce was about, no doubt. That's going to be a very strong Vayne board now.
Yeah, Shurikane was not able to get a bow off of the carousel, but who needs a bow off of the carousel when you get offered the Radiant version of the best in-slot item? He also has 2 removers over there, so he can get rid of this cloak, which is really important because when you already have that rune in Hurricane, it's unlikely you want a cloak-based item for your third item. Taking stock of
just go double rune, honestly.
You could, absolutely. It's not a bad itemization. It's not my optimal third item on Vayne, but it can absolutely do. As we hop on board with Chi2 for the first time this game, already at 42 HP, so not quite in Simi territory, but getting close. He finds an early Lucian on this roll down, and it looks like he's going to be leaning towards playing Lucian, but initially not the optimal carry with the Deathblade Runin situation, but with the rework to Lucian, the Runin's Hurricane does proc on the Lucian ulti, so you do get some value there. I'll be curious to see how deep he's willing to roll in the situation, or if he's just purely all in on fast aiding. These look like auction items to me.
Yeah, I like the fast 8 here. I mean, and that's, again, you know, you're not going to see what's rolling. He's just going to pre-level instead. Because, yeah, you put those items on an Akshan, that is nuts. That is a crazy strong Akshan. So for now, yeah, I mean, your HP is a little bit low, but you've got the stimulus incoming, so just try to position well and, you know, do the best you can. And you know, hopefully you don't go too far under 40, and then hopefully you find an Akshan when you go 8.
Yeah, that's absolutely what he's hoping for, and showing the versatility, by the way. We've seen a ton of Draconic play into the AP tree, and Chi2 showing us that, hey, you can play Draconic into the AD tree as well, using Ashe as an item holder for this Deathblade Runins combination, and I really, really like the line Chi2 is taking on this game. He thought he was going to wind up getting Stimmy here, I think, most likely, but goes up against Mbappe, who is also fast aiding, so another really weak board in the lobby. I would love to go back, if we can, and watch that 4-2 roll down, because it's going to be a really big deal once we get a chance to look at the blessing.
Yeah, we'll see the stem first. Oh, it's a spatula and a component. That this game's gonna get a little bit wild. That's gonna change things big time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at you know, Siching Che rolling down on level 7. Not an ideal situation. Looking for a 4-cost carry here. He's got a Jax. He's got a Draven. He sells the Jax. This is the one he was looking for, I assume. Lucian? No, he passes the Lucian, Toa. What are we looking to play here?
That's a good question. I mean, he saw the Gwen, and he does have the potential to make a blue buff, but he doesn't really have other items to support that, right? So, I mean, gonna pass that by as well. You know, some people like to re-roll Riven, but that's not gonna happen now with all the gold being taken out. So I think that's just kind of a feels bad for Jixing Che as he enters this with 0 gold and not really any stronger of a board than he began with.
I don't think this is a feels bad. I think this is a played bad situation, Doa. He is clearly all in purely on the Aphelios line, right? We see him holding he's holding the Nightbringer the units, he's holding the Revenant units, and he's saying, I only want to play Aphelios from the spot, but his items are generically powerful AD items. A Radiant Titans, a Hand of Justice, and a Deathblade on a Lucian would be outstanding. A Radiant Titans, a Deathblade, and a Ginsu's Rage Blade on a Draven would be okay. He could put these items on Jax as well. I have no idea why he is only willing to roll for Aphelios in this spot. He takes a spot where he's really just trying to salvage it as best he can when you're going all in at level 7, and he's all inning on a single 4-cost carry. That is a not correct line under that set of circumstances.
Yeah, he's in trouble. No doubt about it. Has the Aphelios here? G2 does, rather. As he went for that fast 8. No Akshan, but you know, we'll see how the Aphelios does, I guess. I do like the blue buff on the Viego. If that's well positioned, that can help you kind of steal away some rounds that you might lose otherwise. He's going to grab the Ziggs, I guess, for his first victim, but that Vel'Koz on the other side. It's not, you know, the greatest Vel'Koz items, but if it does go off, it's still going to do a good amount of damage. But look at the crowd control, though. The Vel'Koz barely gets the cast. That's a win for G2.
Yeah, a big win for Chi2 there, who, again, only needs to not go 8th in this game in order to get over the hump here. So every win is big, and he's just staring at the side, seeing if anyone is going to anyone got him, though, anyone going to take that 8th place would be a really big deal. He then takes the spatula, denying the rest of the lobby, and Zishincha's dizzy here. He's going back for the for the Volibear, which is, in fairness, a very good unit, considering that he was leaning in towards a Revenant frontline.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about G2 and how he's gonna feel. I think he can build the Force of Nature now with that, and so that might just be what it takes to kind of secure that not 8th.
Yeah, anything he can do to take not 8th is the course of action. That early Force of Nature is going to have enormous impact, and a Lulu upgrade as well. It's also on a Garen, by the way, a very powerful unit, right? Doesn't have the Knight synergy online, but still a valuable unit nonetheless. Moving over to Escha, who is tied for first place right now at 16 points. He is re-rolling MF, though, and not a composition we've seen a lot of, but he's in a really good spot for it. He has 5 Misfortunes, 6 Hecarums, 8 Threshes. He's also topping the lobby in HP.
That Hecarim will be nigh unkillable if he's able to 3-star it, and of course, I mean, the MF will do quite well too, but the question is, can he get there? He's got all the HP to do it, like you said, but the Viego, right onto the Misfortune. That's what I'm talking about. That Viego, he doesn't, there we go, he does get the convert now, but that's exactly what G2 needs to do with that, is find those, kind of sneaky takes. And when you grab your opponent's carry, even if you don't end up getting it, CCing it for that long, you can see that was an easy round win against Escher. That's going to be some HP costed there.
Yeah, definitely a positioning diff, although it is really tough when you're Escha and your whole composition is frontline units. It's hard to protect your solo backline carry, though. Very, very good scouting and positioning from Chi2 there to get that Viego directly onto the Misfortune and immediately seal that fight. Escha's still in a good spot, though. 56 HP, finds another Hecarim. I think he's ahead of the curve in terms of the unit, and he's ahead of the curve in terms of HP. So as long as he's able to hit when he rolling down either on 5-1 or after the stimmy, he should be in okay shape. We see S. Mbappe, who's really low on HP, hitting a Lucian too. That could be a big stabilization point for him as well.
Yeah, it's kind of coming down to it now. And, Escha, again, he's the other player in this lobby that just needs to avoid 8th place. And he seems like at least he's in a good spot for that. So, I mean, once that 8th place player drops out, it's kind of a victory lap for the rest of the game for Escha anyway. So you can see why he chose to play a composition that has that strong front line, because you're simply just going to be able to probably live and just not lose too much HP before the first person drops out.
Yeah, against certain matchups, that's absolutely correct, but against Aphelios, it does not matter. Aphelios says, I will cast around your front line, so Escha takes a bad loss there, but you're absolutely right. That strong front line is really good against front-to-back compositions specifically. We're talking Draven, we're talking Jax, right?
Yeah.
Or Lucian, if you can get your meat in front of the Lucian ulti. So Escha's still totally fine in this situation, taking stock of the lobby. Hurricane has completely turned around, opening with a loss streak, and has built a really strong board up, topping the lobby on a win streak at 63 HP. Nukamoru, who took that Hextech Lifeblade, actually winds up in an okay spot here. Has the Radiant Shojin, has the Vel'Koz too, so not a bad spot for Nukamoru. Not the best iteration of this board either, though he does have the Force Spellweaver in play.
Yeah, I mean, and that Force Spellweaver is certainly going to give Vel'Koz some of the damage that he's lacking by just not having a damage item on him, and theoretically, the Radiant Gunblade is going to be providing, not only that healing to the Vel'Koz and the shield, but also some healing to your front line as well.
Ooh, the Volibear.
All right. I like it. So the front line getting a little bit beefier now, getting a little bit more crowd control in, and everything, it's just all about what's going to give that Vel'Koz time, right? I mean, you've of course got 3 redeemed in there. You've got the Syndra to throw things away that might get near the Vel'Koz. And look at this, he's actually going to itemize the Lux a little bit too. This is going to help get those shields out. This is going to buff the front line, and there's going to be that strong auto attack coming out from the Lux after she casts her ability too. Yeah,
I really like this adaptation from Nukamoru, right? He does not want to play the Force Spellweaver, and definitely without the Spellweaver spat, it's just not worth it from a unit perspective, particularly once you find the Volibear, but he is getting absolutely run over by this Vayne. Shurikane has this incredibly powerful, you called it, double Runan's Vayne, along with the Ginsu's Rageblade, continuing to win, and it does feel like this lobby power level is overall not in a great spot, so really good sign for Shurikane, because Vayne is a composition that normally plays for top 4, but if no one really caps out their board, Vayne is capable of playing for top 1, particularly if you get a secondary carry online, like, a 3-star Hecarim or a Viego 2, for example.
Right. I was just looking at the shop here for Nukamoru. Some interesting choices there. Revenant would build a stronger front line, but arguably, you know, Renewer might do the same thing. If you go for something like a little bit of a Renew action there too, he's going to swap out the Lux for a Heimerdinger now. He will get a fairly quick cast, and he's only 1 Renewer away from 4 Renewer with this too, and there's a Soraka. So we'll see if he maybe decides to switch into a little bit of 4 Renewer tech to capitalize on that. Have to go back and check later. Meanwhile, Jijinche is banking on the Cavalier Teemo and a little bit of Aphelios.
Oh, the Viego is in the right place once again. It feels like every single time we go swap to a fight, we are looking at Chi2 thoroughly outpositioning someone. Such good understanding of his board composition. Yeah, not like this indeed. Zishincha all-ins on that 4-1 roll down for Aphelios. Finds 1 copy of Aphelios, but not 2-star, and bottoms out this lobby in 8th place. Moving over to Nukamaru, who has Vel'Koz against the world. And the world wins. Nukamaru out in 7th place. A tough game for him.
Yeah, really tough game for both of our players who were sitting at 9 points there. Jishinche and Nukamaru. They were the players that, you know, with a good result, with a really solid result, could have maybe passed that threshold, but now they are going to need at least 1, if not 2 more games. They're going to need good ones too. So that puts those 2 players in a specifically difficult situation. There's the Lucian too, though. That's huge for Hwanmi.
Yeah, such a big hit for Hwanmi. Absolutely needed it under the circumstances, and we see Chi2 upgrading the Aphelios as well. So finally, some other boards are getting online here, Doa. We're seeing some upgraded carries in this lobby, some people to potentially fight back against Shurikane, who is rolling over the lobby thus far. Taking a look at Delicious Milk's board for the first time in a long time. He also has that upgraded Aphelios along with the Teemo, along with a double Banshee's Claw. He is on the wrong side, but the Lucian is wailing away on the front line for now. Takes out his kind of meaningless Varus. The Aphelios is able to get that first cast off. Will it be able to get a second cast off before Lucian kills it? The Nightbringer shield comes into play, but just barely does not have enough damage, and this is really the difference between Deathblade and other items. Giant Slayer is a perfectly adequate damage item. It's not best in slot, it's quite good, but without that Deathblade to ramp up that damage, it's the difference between one-shotting the enemy carry and leaving it alive to wipe out your board.
Yeah, totally true, and you know, we saw it be a little bit close, but you know, he needed that 1 extra cast. G2 able to find the Jeweled Gauntlet. That's going to shore up the damage that he was lacking a little bit in. Meanwhile, things like the Banshee's Claw are going to be such a premium pickup right now. And Mbappe, you know, if he can get that onto the Vayne, which you'd imagine that's where it's going to go, that's just going to make that board even stronger. We're going to look at Mbappe right now. I meant to say Shurikane, by the way. We're going to look at Mbappe. He did find that Claw, and so now the Lucian's going to be just that much safer. Like the Diana 2 hit, always good if you can position that well to get the disruption that she brings. But how do you turn this into a top 4? He still only has 4 HP right now.
His board strength is perfectly fine. He has everything upgraded except for the Pike. He has solid items onto the Lucian, solid items onto the Galio. It's all coming down to positioning, and he's just barely on the wrong side here, Doa. From this spot, he's going to ult across to the Senna instead of to the enemy Lucian. Meanwhile, the enemy Lucian is going to ult across to his Lucian, although his Lucian is a genius and dodges out. This is the fun of the Lucian matchup. When and how are we dashing? Now the Lucians are wailing away on each other, and Hwanmi's Lucian reigns supreme. Mbappe is going to take a loss here and go out in 6th place.
Yeah, it was close. Like you said, I think it really did come down to the position there. The Lucian first not getting what could have potentially been the first shot on Hwanmi's on the other side. So Mbappe out in 6th. That's going to make sure that he's going to have a hard time getting past that threshold. But let's check out Milk's board. And he has got an Akshan too. So pretty decent damage. Got the Banshees to keep everything fairly safe. What do you think?
I think this board is excellent. He has a bunch of upgraded units. The only things on his board that are not upgraded are his Volibear and Teemo, both of which do an enormous amount of work on 1 star. We see him repositioning, getting the Shroud landed perfectly onto Escha's board. This is a very interesting matchup, as we saw last time. The problem with that Escha runs into in this matchup is there's so much backline access between the Aphelios cast that hit the entire board. This Auction is going to circle around and get on, and the Diana. It's just so hard for Escha to be able to deal with Milk's board. It's a very, very easy fight win for Delicious Milk, but that's okay. The name of the game for Escha was not 8th. He has already secured it. Delicious Milk is getting closer and closer to a top 4.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, looking at both of our players that were on the verge of crossing the threshold, Shurikane and G2, both already securing enough points to do that. So that's going to make the next game especially exciting. Mbappe was the next closest. Not quite sure off the top of my head if he's going to have enough, but I don't think so. But either way, it's going to be an exciting next game. Now, talking more about Delicious Milk's board here, that Ionic Spark, all right, it'll give a little bit of something to him, I suppose, a little bit more damage, but I think it's really all about positioning, so that Volibear and the Diana create that CC chain that gives his carries the time they need to do the damage it takes to win the rounds. Speaking of Shurikane, let's check out his board. Got that very strong Vayne and that Banshee's Claw that he picked up a little bit ago to make sure that she can keep casting with impunity. I'm kind of feeling Shurikane here. This board looks like looks very strong.
Yeah, I'm feeling Shurikane too. He's on a 9-fight win streak. He is level 9 as well, along with a ton of gold to eventually be able to cap out his board. 20 gold already, but so much HP to work with. Hasn't even gotten the stimmy yet, right? So there's a Cavalier spat in his future that we know of. So Shurikane is in an excellent spot and getting a really important bounce back in this game. Taking a kind of bigger picture look for a second, we came in saying 5 players were capable of getting into the top. Point threshold in this game, right, to be able to win on checkmate in game 4. 3 of those players are already eliminated in the situation, so Esha and Kichu take care of business and get above the threshold, but that will be it. Delicious Milk, Hwan Mi, and Shurikane, none of them were capable of getting over the threshold, all of them scoring some desperately needed points here, and this is going to make it the bigger picture so much closer as we head into game number 4.
Right. So, essentially now what we're looking at in game number 4 is a lot of players that can also reach that threshold. So basically, if G2 or Esha don't win in the next game, they're going to have a lot of competition, I'm guessing, as far as players that could potentially just win the world championship right there. So, this game, you're trying to get all the points you can, to just make it easier for you to cross the threshold if you're not one of those 2 players that already have. But it's really going to be next game where, the sweat is going to start to kind of like roll down the faces of these players as they're going to consider that the tournament might be over in game 4.
Yeah, Chi2 winds up on the wrong side of this fight. Hwan Mi's Lucian just wails away on the Aphelios, and the fight is over. Essentially, before it begins, we have our top 3 secured in Shurikane, Hwan Mi, and Delicious Milk. We're looking at Hwan Mi's board. Like we said, it's a very solid iteration of the Lucian composition. Was able to get that Cannoneer spatula as well, so playing the 4 Cannoneer version, which is quite strong. We're seeing the extra damage coming through on the Lucian. Delicious Milk win streaking on that Aphelios board, and Shurikane trying to figure out a way to full cap out his Vayne board. He's starting to do it. We see a Rel upgrade. We see a Garen upgrade as well. Last second position from Hwan Mi. Will it be correct?
Let's find out. The Shroud is certainly in a rough place for Hwan Mi here. Hits basically all of his most important stuff. That Lucian's going to take a lot longer to cast here. Stun from the Senna on the other side comes through.
Akshan.
But oh no, Akshan's in the back. He swings away, but he takes out everybody on his way through, more or less. And even Viego helping out a little bit there too. And that is going to send Hwan Mi to the Shadow Realm. Delicious Milk takes at least a second. And that is pretty huge. Delicious Milk needed these points, but it's going to be Shurikane with the HP advantage. All he needs to do is win 1 round, whereas Delicious Milk, he's still got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, a little bit of work to do, to say the least. Both of these players had a lot of work to do coming in. Shurikane at 5 points, Delicious Milk at 6 points heading into this lobby. So a lot of catching up to do for them. Some desperately needed points as we take a look at them trying to cap out the boards. Shurikane is able to get a Viego 2 here, trying to figure out what unit he wants to sell in order to make it happen. It looks like he's going to do a full transition on this board, get the Jax in as well, teching up in the Ironclad Stoa, which is really smart adaptation, considering that he's going up against an basically entire attack damage composition from Delicious Milk in the Aphelios and the Akshan. Now for the last second positioning, swapping. The Viego stays in the middle. Is the Shroud going to land? The Shroud does land. Not that impactful under the circumstances because Vayne does not have mana. Meanwhile, the Viego is on the back. There are 2 Banshee's Claws on that back line, so this Viego is trying to cast. The second one is picking up the Aphelios, but the Akshan is done away with Shurikane's entire board. Milk's dual carry composition wins supreme in the first fight.
Man, that Diana ultimate from Milk just was huge. It did so much damage, and it also just totally disrupted everything. And, anyone who thought Delicious Milk, could only be a one-trick is, has been rudely awakened now. And as he's proved once again that he can play pretty much any build out there right now. And so this is kind of like Delicious Milk, I feel like, showing his final form, where it's like, yeah, I use Kled to get here. That's fine. I can do that if I need to. If I get on a silver platter, I'll play it again. But he can pretty much bring anything he wants to at you in a given game. And here it is, Shurikane, 18 HP. Did he manage to find the positioning here to possibly beat it? No, the Viego right on the Vayne!
It's already
the Viego
over!
Again! It's a double agent, and the Vayne swap sides. Delicious Milk gonna win this one. Huge, and he's gonna do enough damage to win it all. Delicious Milk takes game 3.
What a game from Delicious Milk. Haters be silenced. This man can play more than just Kled. Look, when you think about the history of TFT and we're talking about the best players, Delicious Milk belongs on that list. He's been
100%.
one of the best players of TFT since the very beginning. Multiple early TFT set, major tournament wins under his belt. This is not someone who has historically been a hard force one composition, one trick. He just thought Kled was really good coming into the event. He learned that comp inside and out, and he was able to use it in order to get here, but he's only played it one game thus far today. The other 2 games he has played in other lines, and an excellently played Ranger game from Delicious Milk in that head-to-head North America versus EU in a Ream Supreme, at least for now.
Oh my gosh, that's what we love to see though. Both Delicious Milk and Sugarcane used those first 2 games in order to learn about the lobby, how the pacing is going to go, all the play styles that are meshing together. And Doa, they were able to make some huge comebacks. I cannot wait to look at the standings.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about. We know we have 2 players already over that 18-point threshold in G2 and Esha, right? So now the question is, if they don't win that next game, who are the other players that are going to cross that threshold as well? And there might be a few of them, but I mean, let's look at our 2 players for a second that are past that 18-point mark right now. Esha had to go through the play-ins, the only representative from Oceania, popular streamer over there, but some people accuse him of being for fun. He's not a legitimate pro. Well, guess what? Obviously, that's incorrect. He is clearly one of the best players in the world, in contention to win it in Game 4. And then you've got Shi2, the first seed from China, so kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. The top seed from the most populous region in Teamfight Tactics. You couldn't have 2 players on more opposite sides of the positions coming into this tournament, so it's really cool to see them being the ones that have a chance to win it all in Game 4. I can't wait. I wish I was going to cast it, but I'm going to be stepping out for this next one.
Well, Game 3 had a lot of surprises and shakeups, especially when it comes to who is in contention to take it all home. So, Bryce, Doa, walk us through some of the action.
All right, well, solid start for Shi2, of course. Remember, he was one of the only players that needed a not 8th, right, Bryce?
Yes, a not 8th secured from both Chi2 and Esha. I really liked the way they approached this lobby. Both of them played tempo, despite the fact that they were not in great spots to do it, and they might have maybe leaned into loss streak in another circumstance, but they understood what they had to accomplish in this game, and they got the job done. Mbappe, meanwhile, takes a lot of flack as like a 1st or 8th oriented player, but he was the only player in this lobby to roll deep on 3-2. Didn't ultimately wind up working out for him, not his best game overall, but I did think his line was pretty good. Meanwhile, taking a look at Sugarcane's roll down, who opted to a different strategy, right? He hyper rolled instead of slow rolling. He hit he got the Vayne 3 online. He was able to power it all the way ultimately to a 2nd place.
Yeah, exactly. And Mbappe did put himself in a position to, theoretically make it past the 18-point mark in Game 4. So, job done as far as that goes. Meanwhile, Nukomaru, he's a player that's starting to lag behind a little bit here. And he had played well, I think, over the course of the tournament. Again, another player who had to go through the play-ins to get here. So certainly a big accomplishment there. But really needs, I think, step it up if he wants to have a chance to win Worlds. Looking at Mbappe again, able to, a lot of people were able to put that spatula to pretty good use in this game. But Mbappe, he's one of those players where once he passes that threshold, he's a major threat. Because like we said, he's kind of known as a 1st and 8th player, but that's for good reason. He's got, I think more firsts than basically anybody right now.
Yeah, he is
either...
Yeah.
I think he has the most, right?
Yeah, he has the most by far. He might have the more than the next 2 players combined, to be honest with you. He has 5 first places already. It's so impressive as we look at the standings, and we see there's a relatively wide margin here with Esha and Ki2 both being above the threshold, and then it's unbelievably close, though. 3rd place through 8th place, all capable of getting over the threshold if they finish 2nd place or better in this lobby. Delicious Milk is now in the position of not going 8th place, and he gets over the threshold. So if they're able to deny the win to Chi2 and Esha, we might have a group of 4, 5, even 6 players over the threshold as we head into the final game.
Yeah, I mean, here's where it gets even more fun, right? Because not only if you're one of those players in 3rd through 8th are you trying to really play a good game for yourself, but you're always trying to look for ways to sort of hamstring the 2 players that are trying to win it all, right? So now Chi2 and Esha have big targets painted on their backs because they know if they win it, the tournament is over, the competitive cycle of set 5 is over. It could all end in the next game.
Yeah, I very well could, and we're about to get into that next game. Doa, I'm sorry, we do have to say goodbye to you for now.
I had a great
Thank you so
time.
much for joining us for these last 2 games. Bryce, you're sticking around, and let's also welcome in Crowan to the broadcast for today. And Crowan, we've seen a ton of action so far. What are you looking forward to as we sort of approach the climax of the TFT Reckoning World Championships?
I mean, simply, it's just games 4 and 5. They are going to be the most important games of today. You know, it all can end in the next one. Maybe we're going to go to a game 5, but a target is on the backs of Esha and Chi2. They had to play just not to get 8th last game, and that's, you know, really impressive to recognize in a tournament environment what you do with the format, and it's play super aggressive, dodge ace. They both did that, and now they have the potential to win. It's just so amazing. And Melk and Shurikane are back too. They had such uncharacteristic kind of like, you know, bit of shakiness in games 1 and 2, but now we can see that, you know, they've shaken the jitters off. They are here to play as well, and as mentioned, everybody in this next game can get within range of taking it with just another first, so it is all on the line. This is where it gets real.
Oh my gosh, especially when you consider just how stiff the competition has been, especially making it to the final stage of the World Championships. This could end it all. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Bryce, Crowan, take it away.
Oh man, thank you, Necker. Let's take a look at Delicious Milk. Of course, he had a phenomenal game last game. And Bryce, what do you make of his play so far? You know, his evolution from games 1 to 3, and now, you know, with 4 on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might have been a little bit nervous in game 1. I did not love his game 1 line. He rolled a bunch of gold for Zyra 3, and then he hit the stimmy, and he wound up leveling and trying to you know, go to level 8 and transition his board. So he was a little bit rocky in game 1. In game 2, he goes back to comfort, right? He played Kled. It's a composition that he's played 100+ times in the last week. He knows it inside and out. He gets a solid 4th. I think, you know, a little bit different matchmaking RNG or fight RNG. He easily could have wound up in the top 2 there. And then this game, he gets a strong opening with the Olaf 2 and the Udyr 2 plus another skirmisher. He had powerful AD items and a bow sword opener. He said, I can play Streak. I'm Delicious Milk. I'm one of the best players in North America. I'm one of the best players in the world, and I can get the job done, and he absolutely did. So it was really fun to watch him play, kind of coming into his confidence. I expect that to continue this game.
100% confidence continuing as we load on into game number 4. It could be the final game. If Esha or Chi2 gets first place, it could all be over, Bryce. Oh man, it's getting real spicy, but we start off with Mbappe, starts with the chain vest.
Yeah, it's getting very spicy, and, you know, as we're, you know, getting into the opening stages of this game, it's important to note that there's a little bit of defense to be played in this game in addition to your offense.
Yeah.
Your first job is to score your points and get over your threshold. Your second job is to make sure the tournament keeps going. So if you're getting to these in-game scenarios and either Esha or Chi2 are still alive, you got to position for those boards, make sure your Diana's in the right place, make sure your Zephyrs and your Shrouds are targeting their boards right. Do anything you can do to stop them from taking this first and ending the tournament.
Yeah, and that is not something that we see players have to adapt to unless it is format specifically like this with the checkmate in mind, that we're going to have to keep an eye on that as we do reach the late game. If Esha or Chi2 is still alive, I think obviously all of those Shrouds, all those efforts, everything's going to be targeted for them. Mbappe, for now, however, just needs 3 points to get within range of winning. So if Mbappe is not just contesting the victory to deny it, just needs to make sure to avoid 7th and 8th and will be in an okay spot for next game.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Chi2 is already in 1st or 8th style, Crowan. He's already got his 3 item components, and this is good micro understanding of the game. For those of you who don't know, you can play a solo Olaf, position it in that square, and because of Olaf's kit, the HP loss will cause it to ramp up its attack speed, and it can win this neutral round. That gives him the option that if he gets 6 gold here, which he does, he can make 10 gold on 1-4. Such a powerful choice to make from Chi2. Really good understanding of early game micro.
And it's going to come down to what is this going to gain for Chi2, but okay, all right. We see a couple of Knights and Olaf. Not a fantastic start, but still an okay one. You can make use out of the Knights and the Hellions in the early game. You don't have to be locked into anything from here. It might get a couple of unit kills just with the Ziggs in the backline, being able to, you know, ramp up over the course of the fight with the Hellion, and still is able to make 10 gold from here.
Yeah, and it's a really first wraith oriented style, right? He's choosing not to hold units. It's going to make his early game board weaker. He's going to lean into Lost Streak, but that is okay because this man is playing for the World Championship. He needs a first. He can afford to play a little greedy. If he gets an 8th place in this game, not a big deal. Just go to the next one.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, actually. It is okay if Esha or Chi2 kind of bottom out. They can play super risky. Probably the riskiest that they have ever played is on the table right now because they can just run it back next game and still win and win the whole thing. So pressure is on them, of course, but it's also okay if they do fall.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that's kind of part of this tournament. Micro, meanwhile, you have a bunch of folks who are in different situations. You know, Delicious Smoke needs to not take an 8th, as we've said. Mbappe needs to take a 6th or better. If you're one of the other players, though, Shurikane or below, 13 points or fewer, you need to have a top 4 finish. You need 5 points or more for some of them at the very bottom, like Zijing Che. You need at least a 2nd place to get over the threshold. So everyone has a different goal in this game, and it's part of what makes the format so fun.
Ooh, Milk's goal might be to, yes, open fort fully, go for the 20 gold. This is the Delicious Milk that we know and love. Some players maybe hate, but let's see if it's going to work out for him. I mean, he's open forting. It's likely to be Kled.
This is North America's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Who needs units when you have gold? Delicious Milk, very likely to lean into Kled from the situation. It's comfort pick, as we have talked about. Yep. And while he has taken some 8th places with Kled, and you do put that in play when you're rerolling, he is such a good player of the composition that it's far more consistent when he plays it. Meanwhile, Chi2 is battling Milk for that full loss streak, and this is a very interesting dynamic to the lobby. Both Delicious Milk and Chi2 really want to play full loss streak in this game, so both of them are playing absolutely no units on their board. What is going to happen? Are they going to buy and play units when they play each other? Will they both play each other with no board growing?
It's likely to. I think it's just kind of a game of chicken. Who's going to buy units first? If the Kleds pop up in the shop, you really don't want to pass those up. Wow, I have not seen this in a very, very long time, but it's so interesting. We're going to have to check to see if they do face each other at some point. But for now, moving over to Nukomaro. Nukomaro needs a top finish to get within the threshold. This is a decent early game board. Vladimir 2 is solid. Of course, there's no real AP items to slam there. There is just attack damage items on the bench. But Nukomaro even has a lot of gold as well. I believe that's just 3 components. So got extra gold during the first initial rounds. This lobby dynamic, I think, is going to be really, really crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people greeting items, a lot of people greeting economy. Have we seen a slammed item yet? Crow, what is happening?
I don't know.
Here? It's such a different version of TFT than we're used to seeing, and it's worth noting that Nukomaro, for those of you who are used to TFT format where it's 10-8-7 points for 3rd, that is not the case. It's 10-8-6 in this tournament, so Nukomaro has to get a top 2 in order to get over the checkmate threshold.
Yeah, and I mean, top 2 is going to be so rough to get in a lobby that is greeting this hard, because that is a style that you want to spike, you know, super late, greed out all your money, and then go for, you know, fast 8s, fast 9s, get a 1st or 2nd place with that. And with so many people trying to do it, there's only 2 spots for the top 2, Bryce. This is, oh man, okay, I gotta calm down a little bit.
Look at these uncombined items, Crow.
There's so many. There's so many.
I feel like I'm watching like a bronze lobby, right? Like I've taught some people how to play TFT for the first time, and it's like, hey, those like items over on the side, you can put them on units. If you combine them, they level up and then more powerful items. Everyone in this lobby is saying, hey, we gotta play this 1st or 8th style. We have to deny Esha and Chi2 their 1st place opportunity. I'm not gonna play solid. I am swinging for the fences. I have never seen this in a challenger level lobby. It's wild.
It's like, you know how the tip pops up if you don't buy any XP? It's like the game pops up, hey, you can buy XP to advance to next levels. It's like, hey, you can put these items on units. I'm just waiting for a tip to come up, you know, show it to these players. But they, of course, know that these are the best team fight tactics players in the world. And with a lobby that has so much on the line, the adaptation to recognize that this is the route to go is so interesting, so amazing. As Juan Mi finally slams an item, we have an Infinity Edge on the table, Bryce.
We have a combined item on 2-5. What a time to be alive. Meanwhile, Juan Mi slams the first item of the game and takes an absolute beating from Mbappe, who has slammed no items. This is the second time we've seen Juan Mi slam an early Infinity Edge. I'm just not, you know, I know that the Chinese players really prioritize this critical damage-oriented style. They like to flex between Lucian and Vel'Koz, and so if you're going to have an Infinity Edge, eventually you might as well slam it now, so I get it. But Infinity Edge, as far as slams go, is incredibly weak in the early game is an amplification item. You need a lot of base AD in order to make that item do a lot of work. But hey, if you know you need the item, you might as well build it now. On board is Chung, who has a board that
Assassins?
I mean, yeah, he could play. I mean, who knows? He could play anything from here. He has no items committed. He basically has no units committed, and he has 90 HP because so much of the lobby is trying to full loss streak.
What is this lobby? I mean, of course, this Nocturne on the bench is not costing economy. You can just hold it, whatever, hit a Nocturne 2. You can still just play it in the mid game as an AD item holder. Of course, is going to loss here. No streak into the Krugs. It is going to be Nukumaru on a 5 streak. Will Esha maintain a streak as well? He does. That is so big. 5 streaking into Krugs makes your economy level so threatening, as well as having a strong board state.
And on the other side of this equation, Kroa, the incredibly movable object of Chi2 versus the incredibly stoppable force of Delicious Milk did do battle, and Milk has his loss streak snapped. Very unfortunate for Delicious Milk. He was hoping to avoid that matchup because Chi2's commitment to the loss streak cause knows no bounds.
And Xingxia puts both Nocturnes in, so if no gold happens, might consider selling the Nunu and actually commit to this Nocturne line. On the other hand, we have, and Nico's help coming here from Esha. We've seen some really aggressive rolling happen. Esha is also already level 6. He was 6 before the Krugs.
Yeah, you don't see that every day. Esha was very worried about playing Nukumaru's board and must have leveled on 2-6 in order to guarantee win streak through Krugs.
I have not seen that since like Firestone in set 1, if that name, anyone remembers that one. That's crazy.
I remember that one. We go way back here, but yeah, not something that I've seen every day. I think I have seen Esha do this recently one time, though. He's a very tempo-oriented player when he's playing win streak. It is a risky decision. It's going to cost him quite a bit of gold, right? Spending that much gold to level on 2-6. And he does not really get the reward he was hoping for there. What he wanted to do was play Nukumaru's board and protect his streak and snap Nukumaru's streak. He doesn't get to do that, so now he's just a little bit behind the economy curve in relation to Nukumaru, who has also maintained his 100 HP.
And Kled now having, or Milk having the Kled, has snapped his loss streak. Wants to continue the win streak, perhaps. Kled 2, Last Whisper, Poppy is upgraded as well. Will he be able to do it? Okay, against the misfortune of Shurking, Kled already gets on him in the back line. Sunfire, though, taking a Thresh 2. It's just such tanky units on Shurkane's board. What's going to end up happening here? The Kled's trying to wail away, but no, gonna pop back out from the Hellion Portal, of course. The Sunfire, the Pike 2. I think it might be too much. The Hellions are going to come back out, though. It's going to be a close fight.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Milk, and this is part of the impact of having that loss streak snap by playing Chi2, right? He gets a win on the last stage of, or last fight of stage 2, and then immediately takes a loss because his board, quite frankly, just isn't that good. He does have, you know, a Morellonomicon for this cannon. He's got half a Frozen Heart. He's got half of Ruin's Hurricane, so his items are okay, though he will be very reliant in getting a good Radiant item for that Kled, so the Radiant Armory is going to be super important for Delicious Milk. We're seeing, you know, moving on board with Chi2, who is not rolling, you know, going to play very open fort style. We see a lot of Chinese players do this. They rush to Stimmy Crowan. They all in when they hit it on either 3-3 or 3-5, and they roll flexibly for different carries. I will be very excited to watch this man play. It's unique to the Chinese style, and they have perfected it.
Just a couple more rounds until we get there. We'll see the Stimmy, we'll see the Carousel, and then the Radiant Armory right after that. This, okay, did kill a couple units, though. Not going to full get 6-0'd, but, you know, maybe wanted to lose to one more unit. Would have been in perfect Stimmy range. Is instead at 42. It's still alright, however. One loss is probably going to be, or one more loss is probably going to be there either way. What is Chi2 going to go from this board, though? There's no real direction from the damage items. It is still very open to what Chi2 finds on this Carousel and then the Radiant Armory.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Completely flexible in the carry you can roll for. The most common boards that they tend to play are boards where you stabilize it on 7, since obviously you're going to be all-inning on level 7. I've seen a lot of Lucian get played, since Lucian requires a bunch of other cheap units. Obviously, you get Galio, great, but you can get the 6 Sentinel online without a Galio. You just need that Lucian carry. We've also seen a meaningful amount of Vel'Koz. A Bramble Vest has been slammed onto a Nunu, so we could see him go in that direction. But the reality of the situation is he's not going to have enough gold to be able to be, you know, super picky about what he plays, right? We saw Zixing Che last game hard rolling for an all-in for an Aphelios, and I was criticizing it because he wasn't open enough. I would be surprised to see Chi2 do that. He will have multiple outs in mind, and he will roll his gold very quickly and transition his board because he has to. When you play open fort for this long and you get to 32 HP and start playing the game on 3-5, you absolutely need to stabilize your board. The next turn will be mission critical.
100% mission critical. Mbappe takes Chi2 out in that round 4-0 and has a Lucian already. I mean, it's not going to be that bad for Chi2, but one Lucian is out of the pool. Could make a bit of a difference. There is a Aphelios with a sword on this carousel. See what Chi2 decides to go for. Is it going to be that? It is. Yep. All right, it could be a Death Blade, and then just a bow away from a Rage Blade. Dare I say even the Radiant Armory could provide that as well. This is the key turn for Chi2. Everyone else selecting their items, their units perhaps on the carousel. Shurikane last picks the Karma with the sword, but this is time for the Chi2 roll down. This could dictate Chi2 winning the game or falling in 8th place.
Oh my god, no gold in the Radiant Blessing is such a big deal in this situation. The items are nice, but he doesn't get the bow he's really looking for. Desperately wants a Rage Blade. Does have an Aphelios pair. There's Diana in the shop, so you can pick that up. Here's a Draven and a Galio. We'll see if he picks up the Draven. He does. He's going to be flexible. He's going to probably pick up the Lucian as well. He's trying to consider all of his different options here, Crowan. He's gotten a lot of good units, but there are a lot of units in different trees. No clear direction for Chi2 here.
Oh, no.
He is going to put the Draven in as well, just trying to build a generic frontline, backline board, and this is really important. Luckily, he's going up against Zixing Che, who just has a very weak board with a Nocturne 1 carry and some mediocre frontline units, so Chi2 should be able to stop the bleeding here and get a fight win, although I might be speaking too soon. This Kha'Zix in the backline, killing the Aphelios.
Yeah.
There's no damage left on Chi2's board. There is a Lee Sin 2 that is going to be able to do some damage, but with so many units left alive for Zixing Che, it's just such a close fight here.
The Lee Sin's getting another cast, and it's going to hit multiple units. It could take out, yes, multiple at the same time. It is going to be a Chi2 win, but that was not clean, Bryce. That was definitely not. I mean, the Draven on the board is literally benefiting from 0 synergies. It would have been better to probably have anything else in, and there's no Aphelios item in this Radiant Armory, Bryce. What does he take here? Oh, okay, it's the Spark.
Yeah, there's not only no Aphelios item, there's no AD item whatsoever, and with the Deathblade already slammed and kind of flexing between Draven, Lucian, and Aphelios, he desperately needed an AD-based item. So I think it's very safe to say that Chi2 will not be winning this game. He played a very risky style. We talked about it. He can play first rate. There's no difference between an 8th place and a 2nd place in this game for Chi2. He plays the greedy style. It does not pay off for him. Oh well, BG, go next, reset your mental, not a big deal.
Yeah, the only difference being you might take 1 point away from other competitors if you're able to get a 2nd, but really, it's just not going to be much. Chi2 was okay with that calculated risk. Did not pay off, however.
Yeah, speaking of calculated risks, we said Delicious Milk needed to get above the, 8th place in order to be able to get above the threshold for next game, and I think he has secured that, both because Chi2's board is quite weak and because Delicious Milk has the Kled 3 online, right? In order for him to won this game, he probably needed to be much lower on HP at this point. Hasn't even gotten a stem yet. I mean, we've seen Milk at 20 HP at this stage. At 52 HP with a Kled 3, he can be very confident that he will be getting a 7th or better and moving over the threshold.
Definitely, and that's going to be huge. Mbappe has the Lucian right now. It has only 2 items, and it has the Radiant Runeans. What do you feel about this Radiant Runeans on the Lucian?
Well, we talked about it earlier. It does work. It didn't used to work, but now because each tick of the ulti qualifies as an auto attack, you do get additional damage from the Rune's Tempest, so that's really good. It's far from best in slot, but he doesn't need best in slot Lucian, right? I think Mbappe is playing a really good game. He rolled a meaningful amount on level 6. He is now thinking about rolling on level 7. It looks like he's not going to. I mean, he does already have his main carry. He does have the 6 skirmisher online, plus a Nico's help. So he looks like he's going to fast 8 and try to roll down and stabilize his board there. He has enough HP to work with. 53, not a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, that is risky, however. I mean, only needs 3 points to put himself over the threshold. Just needs to get, a 6th or better. And rolling down there, Nicoing the Lucian, definitely could have done that. Have to see if Mbappe is punished for that one, however, soon. But Shurikane is for Legionnaire Draven board. This Draven is doing so much damage, but the Lucian is shooting all of the culling into it, but Draven still out-sustains it.
Yeah, this is a rolling diff. We saw the two competing styles here. Mbappe chooses not to roll any gold, plays a bunch of 1-stars, and Shurikane rolls a meaningful amount of gold here, which has been his style. You know, I was criticizing earlier that he was playing differently than he had played to get here. He was playing much greedier. He was fast-aiding a lot like Mbappe is doing, and Shurikane, after a nice bounce-back second last game, goes back to his bread and butter. He just needs a top 4 in this game in order to get over the threshold, and he plays more consistently. He rolls at level 7, tries to stabilize his board at 62 HP. I think a very sound line from Shurikane in this game, and now he will try to go to level 8 on 5-1, roll it down, 2-star his units, and try to get a top 4 that way.
All right, takes a glove and
In this game, Nukamoru takes a loss, but not the end of the world. Tons of HP to work with, as well as 50 gold.
No Akshan.
No Akshan. Very unfortunate. Would have loved to get that so he could use that Nico's help, but that's okay. He just needs to go for a relevant item here. Opts into the bow, choosing Runin's Hurricane over Bloodthirster. Very interesting decision. I mean, I get where he's coming from. The Runin's Hurricane Deathblade combination is an absolute terror, but with no sustain, it's going to be very tough to win a lobby with Akshan, which is what he needs to do.
Yeah, and there's 3 spatulas right now, so Milk, grabbing one of them, has an uncombined bow ready. He's going to have a Hellion emblem. This is going to be where the Hellion composition shines. If it gets, Force of Nature's Hellion emblems, then it can very much contest the first. Milk would be simultaneously putting himself over the threshold and denying both Esha and Chi2 any chance of making this game a first. They're already, really feeling the hurt. 11 HP on Chi2, 22 HP on Esha, but people are rolling down right now. Mbappe is hitting, Lucian 2. Zixing She hits Nocturne 2, Nocturne 3 actually. It is going to be an assassin composition, the first one that we've seen this tournament.
Yeah, we'll love to see how that composition performs. Something that was so powerful early on this set, but has been falling off. And Esha gets a little bit dizzy in this transition, trying to figure out how he can use these AP-based items, right? Trying to play into a Karma board. He does have a double Nico, so there's so much potential power for Esha, but you know what? That's okay. He's playing the greedier style. We've talked about it time and time again.
Yes.
Unsurprising that the very bottom of our lobby right now are Chi2 and Esha. They swung for the fences, and they missed this one.
They did miss this one. I mean, there's still, one more pitch coming. Maybe they can still hit it. Esha rolling down. Let's see if we land on some Garens, on some Karmas, and we land on both in the same shop?
And he doesn't even have to use the Nikos here. That's such a big deal because those Nikos could mean Karma 3 out, right? If he's going to try to win from this situation, Karma 3 is one way of doing it. He could also just double Nico the Volibear. The problem with double Nicoing the Volibear, though, is that I think he would have a hard time top 1ing this lobby. The double Nico the Volibear absolutely is how you would play for top 4, but again, he's not playing for top 4. He's playing for top 1, going up against this Lucian that is going to be casting into the Karma on the first cast. Such a big deal. Will this Karma stay alive? Ooh, the Volibear CC interrupts the first Lucian ulti. Here comes the second Lucian ulti, and there's enough meat in the way here. Garen will cast, and Karma should be able to deal with the Lucian. He does. Mbappe at the bottom, and that's a really big deal. We've been talking a lot about the people in first place, but Mbappe came into this game with 15 points, only needed to get 6th or better in order to advance, and in danger of taking an 8th place. We've talked a lot about this 1st or 8th gamer in Mbappe, but this was not the game to do it, Crone. He really needed to just get 6th and be able to be playing for the tournament win.
Yeah, you might start thinking back to the round where Mbappe did not roll on level 7, wanted to greed out for the level 8, and we see now has gotten punished. Escha, and maybe this is the route where Escha's able to stabilize, hit a bunch of Karmas, and get Karma 3. I mean, it can happen. It's still a long road from there, but that Garen and Karma in the same shop was an absolute miracle.
Yeah, such a big shop, stabilization point for Escha. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see him rolling here because there's basically no way he can hit this many Karmas, and if you're playing for first place, you might as well greed and see what happens. There's another one. Not bad. I mean, he's coming up with a lot of Karmas. He's only going to be 2 Karmas off at this point. Karma 3, by the way, not the best 3-star 4 cost that we've ever seen. He's still rolling. I'm really surprised. I feel like in this situation, if I'm Escha, I'm just gambling, trying my best to outposition my opponents and seeing if I can get fight wins, because it's just so hard to actually hit this many Karmas with that little goal.
He spent so much time worrying about rolling. I'm scared they didn't spend that much time worrying about positioning. As the Diana goes into the back line. Disruption now. It's going to be on the Garen, but he's not going to be able to do enough. Cannot take down these units. Nukumaru's, Aphelios, the Deathblade stacks are going. Garen ultis one more time, gets the shield, but it is not enough. Escha goes out in 8th, Mbappe in 7th, and Chitu in 6th. We are going to have a game number 5, Bryce. That is confirmed.
Yeah, game number 5 is confirmed, and Mbappe really is going to want this game back. We looked at him in that pivotal situation, compared him to Shurikane's board, where he chose to fast 8, Shurikane chose to roll down and play more stable, and Mbappe only is 6th place. So I think that was a critical macro strategy mistake from Mbappe. We'll see if it winds up costing him, if he winds up, for example, winning the next lobby, because he's not going to be able to win the tournament in the next lobby.
Oh, delicious milk. Level 8, 65 gold. Already has Hellion Emblem, but it's going to be going against a Nocturne. Now, I mean, Kled does do really, really well into this matchup traditionally. I mean, look at it. It just farms the Nocturne here. Haven't got a chance to see much of the Nocturne, and it's probably doing well against other boards, just not this one. The Kled is way too strong. That's going to be Zixing Che taking a loss there, dropping to 21. Milk and Hwanmi still above Radiant Blessing territory. Milk's gonna go level 9 and looking real good to win the lobby.
Yeah, Milk is in a really good spot to win the lobby, and the way that this lobby is shaping up is really interesting for the tournament as well, because there are a bunch of people who had an opportunity to get over the points threshold, and we're staring at a situation in which very few of them could do it. If the lobby were to end right now, then Shurikane would barely get in, right? Because he needs a top 4 or 5 points to get over the threshold. Nokomaru, on the other hand, would not. So if somehow Nokomaru and Shurikane switch positions, then Shurikane's not over, Nokomaru's not over, Zixing Che needs a 1st or a 2nd place to get over. So we might actually wind up with the next lobby only having 3 people in position to win the tournament.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Just such close competition, such close scores. And the fight here, looking a little less close. Maybe the Nocturne cannot get another swing in there.
And this is the thing.
That's going to be Nukumaru winning that ghost round.
Assassins just do not feel very good. I mean, he was perfectly positioned as onto the carry. He hit the Nocturne 3 ahead of schedule, and it's just falling off. This is why we don't see very much in the way of Assassins these days. So our top 5 still duking it out, and these are some critical rounds for tournament positioning. Everyone is just trying to get above the threshold here, and there's a lot of different ways that we can do it. Milk already over the threshold and is trying to deny as many players as he can to take this first place.
Yeah, that would be big. Denying the first, again, from these players like Nukumaru, Hwanmi as well. Let's see. Hwanmi needs to be denied a 1st and a 2nd. Shurikane rolling it down is finding more Dravens.
He does make
so that
this.
Warmogs is committed. Like, he's not going to be able to get that off until he makes the Draven 3. But we're a long way away from that. 6 Legionnaire. I mean, that's great because there's no Rage Blade, right? There's no attack speed item besides the Giant Slayer bow on the Draven. It's just going to be how the positioning comes down to.
Yeah, this is a really interesting choice from Shurikane because he's desperately needs to win this fight, and this is the pivotal fight, by the way.
Oh, yes, it
Nokomaru
is.
needs to knock out Shurikane, and if he's able to win that fight, then Shurikane's not potentially going to get over the point threshold. So having a full Warmogs on your bench feels really bad in this situation. As Nokomaru is able to cast away, there is a Riven in the backline, but it's the only unit left alive. Shurikane's going to take a massive fight loss here, and is down to 1 HP, in danger of going 5th place and not getting into winning position for lobby number 5.
Wow, and that was a big, a benefit for the Teemo from Nukomaru. The Teemo hit the Draven with the first set of shrooms, and then with the CC, Draven just not able to do it. Shurikane may be playing a bit too greedy from this spot. First place is not going to matter that much. The Draven 3 isn't going to do what you really, really want it to do, and that's just to, secure the top 4.
Yeah, he has to sell this Draven Crone. We need as much power on our board as we can possibly get. He's 3 copies away. He's on 1 life. There's no way this man is hitting Draven, and he doesn't need a first place. There is no distinction between 1st and 4th place for him. Okay, thank God. We're going to get the Warmogs in, and now he has 5 seconds to scout around and figure out which boards he thinks he can beat and how to position for them. He's swapping sides. Is he getting it right?
Is he going to? Oh,
He's
man.
not getting it right. The Nocturne's on the right side. The Diana's on the right side. The Viego's on the right side. There are a bunch of units in the way, but will it make the difference?
Let's see. I mean, Nocturne's getting CC'd, but it's going to make its way there. No, the Draven aggro's on it first and takes down the Nocturne. Now just has to get through the Fiddlesticks. The Fiddle is already in Revenant form, and Shurikane lives another round. Xingqiu is 1 HP. If that was just 1 unit more, Shurikane would have been locked, but Nukomaru falls in 5th. That is huge for Shurikane.
Nokomaru has him. That is so huge for the Shurikane, and it's huge for the tournament as well. So we have 4 players left alive. Both Xingqiu and Huan Mi are able to get over the point threshold here. Both of them need to get 2nd or better. Meanwhile, Delicious Milk and Shurikane have already done what they needed to do in this game. So both of them will be in winning contention as we head into Lobby 5. So this is all about trying to deny as many opponents as they can for them. And Xingqiu and Huan Mi need to get into the top 2 in order to have a shot at winning the tournament, along with their other Chinese player, Chi2, who is already there.
Xingqiu going to be 1 HP, but still a top 2 could do it. Huan Mi, though, looking pretty good to get there. This is an Ukshan 2. Rolling for a Phelios upgrade is going to put it in over the Ashe. Making more changes to the board as well. Keeps rolling. These are level 9 shops and not really hitting what he needs. There's no Volibear 2 upgrade. A Fiddle 2. It's going to go in. All right, 3 Mystic.
Teemo as well?
Teemo, that's going to be a big one. And Draven on the wrong side.
That's okay, though, because this Draven's going to avoid a ton of CC, and there's no Banshee's Claw. So I actually think this is the right side and thoughtful positioning from Shurikane. The Auction is in the back, and the Draven is gone. Shurikane's hopes along with it, but that's okay. He got done what he needed to get done. Huan Mi would really like Xingqiu to go out here. He does, so we know who is going to be in winning contention as we head into the next lobby. It's going to be Huan Mi, Delicious Milk, Chi2, and Shurikane, as well as Esha. So 5 of the 8 players in the lobby, if they take a first place, are going to advance. So now it's just about the style points. Can Milk take another first place in this tournament with Kled, the indisputably best player, Kled player in the world, going up against Huan Mi, who is level 9, playing a very capped out Auction Aphelios dual carry board with the Revenants as well as some Mystics.
Playing for some style points, playing for the first place recognition, playing for their region's pride as well. Both such strong regions, North America and China, both have not won a TFT Worlds yet. That is Europe and Korea. They're not going to be able to do it with this one, but surely getting that first place under your belt means that you can do it. Who's going to be getting it, Bryce? The Kled or the Ukshan?
Wow, the full clump positioning into the Teemo with blue buff feels like a mistake to me. This Teemo is just wailing away on the entire team. The Kled is getting in access to the back line. The Auction is already dead. Delicious Milk is coming up with a huge fight win here. Will it be fatal damage? It does not look like it's going to be fatal damage here. The thing about Hellions is these are not for units left alive, and even if it was, it wouldn't be fatal in stage 6, so we're going to have at least one more fight. I want to see a rethinking of the positioning. Full clumping into a Teemo 2 with blue buff is just not it, Crowan.
Yeah, it really is not going to be. Sure, you want to be able to apply the Banshee's Claw and the Zeeks, but those other units don't need to be there. The Ukshan, as well as, not really benefiting from this Banshees, at least with that positioning. See, there's no gold left on either side, no upgrades for the Gwen or for the Volibear. It's just up to the positioning. And Milk, you know, having the Zephyr as well.
And Milk anticipates a last-second swap here, and Hwanmi just doesn't do it. Hwanmi basically doesn't move his board, and so the Zephyr's on the Lulu as opposed to the carries, but that's okay. They're still clumped up. The Teemo is wailing away. Akshan is on the Teemo now. Will it kill it before it swings back? It is able to kill it. This is a huge distinction in the fight. Teemo lived the last fight. It is not this time. There's a Teemo coming out of the Hellion portal, but it does not have the blue buff. Kled is the only unit left alive. Will this be fatal damage? Is Hwanmi going to take this lobby?
No, not quite. Milk going to 6. As we get a moment of reprieve into the stage 6 carousel, and there's another Hellion emblem. Can Milk find a way to play 8 Hellion from here? He's looking for it, and Hwanmi denies it.
Oh, he denies it, but there is a Zephyr here with so much counterplayability. Milk does not want to have 2 Zephyrs, goes with the Death Cap, such a powerful item, onto this Teemo. Be interesting to see if Milk tries to reposition that Teemo to keep it safe from the Akshan, or if Hwanmi tries to reposition his board. I still disagree with this clump positioning, but you know what? He did win that last fight, so what do I know, right? We've had a back-and-forth situation. Milk also going to be able to cycle this Zephyr. If he can get a big Zephyr onto the Akshan, that could prove the difference. A Zephyr onto the Volibear or the Aphelios might be valuable as well. What is Milk going to choose to prioritize as we head to the final positioning?
He's got up to 8 Hellion now. Either way has found the Tristana to put into it. This Teemo now has 3 items. The Volibear is upgraded on the other side from Hwanmi. Watch the Kled. Watch the Volibear CC. It's going to be knocking up the Kled. The Akshan in the back line is not getting contested. Not Poly, not CC. Now it's going to be on the Kled. The Kled's going to go down. The Phelios and Akshan still alive. This is surely going to be Milk going down here. And it will be. The last unit's fallen. Hwanmi takes game number 4.
Yeah, really, really well played from Hwanmi. I criticized the positioning a couple times, so let me eat my words, Crow. And I think Hwanmi realized that his board strength was strong enough with the Volibear 2 and with the other upgrades that he found that he just needed to play the fight straight up. He needed as much meat in the way of his Aphelios and backline carries as possible. His Akshan was going to go into Milk's backline, take care of the Teemo, and get it done. So a nice recognition from Hwanmi, a good lobby win for him, and he is over the point threshold.
Over the point threshold, that is the biggest thing. Also showing that even 8 Hellion Kled is not unbeatable as well with the clump positioning. Huge, huge win for Hwanmi.
With the points as they stand from this fourth game, we now have 5 players that are over that 18-point threshold. So can't wait to show everybody the standings in a little bit. But let's walk through that Game 4 action just one more time in case anybody missed it. Bryce, Crowan.
Yeah, what action we had there in game number 4. Chi2, one of the players playing for this lobby win to take it all home, take home the prize money, take home the title, but just not able to do it. Neither Chi2 nor Escha. A bit heartbreaking, but we get more games, so at least that's exciting.
Yeah, I liked both of their lines. They both understood what they needed to do coming into this game. Chi2 had a bunch of outs here that he could have hit and just didn't hit them. Okay, go to the next game. Meanwhile, Milk went back to his comfort position, is able to get that Kled 3 online on stage 3-6, relatively healthy with a meaningful amount of gold, pushes it all the way into a second place. This was the critical juncture, though. Mbappe choosing to all in on 4-2. There's only 10 gold to roll here, Crow, and this was just such an egregious macro mistake, and if he comes up with a win in this next lobby, which he's absolutely capable of doing, this man has 5 lobby wins so far, it is going to cost him the world championship potentially, so such a big deal.
Yeah, that was really, really big deal. It was kind of mind-blowing seeing him not roll on that level 7, hit the Lucian 2, just stabilize, get that solid placement. Escha in this spot as well, nearly hit that, 0.01% it felt like to win the game. Not able to do it though, wasn't enough. Milk also had such a great board, such great recognition of his comp, right? Because usually this would have a lot of other 3 stars besides just the Kled, but Milk pushes levels so intelligently and gets rewarded for it.
Yeah, it absolutely is the case. I mean, I've talked about Milk being the best Kled player in the world. A lot of people are saying, well, it's a one-cost reroll. What skill is there really? And look, there's a lot of macro decisions he's making between when he rerolls for other units versus when he plays tempo. We saw him the entire tournament thus far rerolling for these other units. In this game, he played tempo like he did in the previous game 2 as well. So different stylistic choices. There's nuance in the positioning, how you round out your comp based on what spatulas you get, etc. So Milk just pilots that Kled to perfection and gets a nice second place as a result. And here we're looking at it, the 5 players, Delicious Milk, Chi2, Hwanmi, Escha, and Shuriken, all of whom, if they win Lobby 5, will be the winner of the Reckoning Championship.
Crazy. Mbappe just 1 point off. The game doesn't have to end next game. It could be Mbappe or the rest of the bottom three. They're taking the victory and pushing us into a game 6. But with 5 players already there, this is such an intense game. The most intense that we have seen in Teamfight Tactics.
Really good chance that game 5 is going to be the last game of the day. But there's still some hope for those 3 players that have not crossed the 18-point threshold yet. We'll have to see what happens after we come back from this short break.
can feel the dark emerging, time for purging my wrong. It's time to shine the light. I've held it for too long. You gotta give me way more time, and we'll be better down the line. 'Cause now my heart is in a bind, and baby, I don't wanna waste your life.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the TFT Reckoning World Championships. We have completed 4 games, and after those 4 games, we have 5 players that have crossed the 18-point threshold and have a chance at securing a first place and the title of the TFT Reckoning World Championship. To take us through the next game of action, let's welcome back Crowan and Frodan to the casting desk. And Dan, it's been a little while since we've seen you, but what do you think about the position that we're in going into this game number 5?
Oh man, it's so wild to see that 5 out of the 8 players are right there at the doorstep, and then the 3 players below them are going to do everything in their power to stop it. However, there's such an interesting dynamic with Mbappe, Dishincha, and Nukumaru outside of it. If they all try to aim for first place, they might incidentally go too greedy and get an 8th place, opening the door for everybody else. So it's very interesting what's going to happen. I can't predict what we're about to see.
Well, I can't either. So why don't we just get right into it? Let's get into this game number 5. Crowan and Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Necra. I'm so ready to get on into this action. It's going to be so insane. Surecane as well, a player who is really, I would say, back to form. Surecane had some shakiness in games 1 and 2, but I think overall in this whole tournament has really shown that he plays consistently so clean, so well. I think Surecane's definitely in good form to take this one potentially.
That's right. And, with that very nice, solid, consistent top 4, Surecane has been time after time putting on very good performances. But the issue is that Surecane hasn't really gotten those big dubs, right? He's been very consistent, piecing together performances that have been strapping things together. And while his tempo-oriented play style is very interesting to watch, he has to be able to shift it into a first-place mentality. Now, I have no doubt that he's capable of doing it. And it's not like Surecane is incapable of getting first place. It's just about what is he going to do in order to accomplish that. On the other side of it, it does seem like everyone's chasing for Aphelios today, right? This entire weekend has been largely dictated about capping out with a strong Nightbringer Ranger board and building around it. I'm really curious to see if other people are going to also go for big first race strategies like the Draconic Spellweaver stuff that we've been seeing.
Yeah, definitely. I think Surecane definitely can do that, right? There's been a couple of games where Surecane has played a greedy route to then play for a really capped late game like Revenant, Heimerdinger, Teemo kind of board, and that can win lobbies. Surecane just was in positions where it wasn't just, destined for that game. Definitely, I think the potential of his playstyle, even as it currently is, to get that first place is there, but really, as you were saying as well, a lot of focus on the Aphelios, the Lucian, Belcause, throw that in there as well, these 4-cost carries that people are all building around, and even Kled, I feel like has had gotten a win in a while. Kled's gotten 2nd place a lot, and then bot 4 a lot, really has only won a couple of games. So what will Delicious Melk do in this game? He has shown proficiency when he pivots off of it, going into these other styles and other trees. Which Melk are we going to see?
Yeah, and then, can we find our first champion from China? Chitsu shows that more times that he's been able to put the first place right there in the standings. He's been showcasing all kinds of play styles and different kinds of ways that he wants to engage with trying to convert into top 1s. I'm really curious to see what he's going to bring to the table as well. China, we haven't really seen too much come from them in previous championships. Now they have 2 players that are eligible in order to do that. So I want to see that. And how could we forget the man, the myth, the legend himself, Escha from Oceania. This player has defied expectations. Last game truly resembled that first race style, man. When you die with 2 Nikos help on the bench and you're aiming for first place, I don't think many people blame him for trying, but can't really do that again with so many players eligible to go for that first place.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And even if, Tishincha and Nukumaru have to play for this first place to deny it, but if they end up bottoming out and going 8, then they still won't even be above the threshold there. And Mbappe really is in that only position where it's like, okay, I really have to play super first or 8th, and, is not going to be worried about getting 8th. As long as Tishincha or Nukumaru wins it, there's so many possibilities, so many different dynamics that can happen here. But of course, pressure is really on the top 5. Escha could do it. We could have our first TFT world champion from a new region. Could be North America, could be China, could be OCE. Europe has already gotten one in set 3. Surecane surely looking to bring the title back to Europe.
Yeah, it's a really good point. You know, the fact that we haven't really had some regions even get the opportunity to get a championship under their belt, but having, you know, basically all corners of the globe represented outside of course, anything from like EME, like the Middle Eastern and Africa.
Yeah.
It's just really cool to see so many people come together and fight for the championship crown here. I'm really excited to get into the game. Now, for the other side of things for Mbappe and Dishingcha and Nukamaro, we've talked a little bit about what they need to do. When you observe their play in particular, Crone, is it just not their day, or are they doing anything that you specifically think needs improvement heading into Game 5?
Definitely for Mbappe, I think that is the biggest thing that stands out in my mind. The last game was not rolling on level 7, had the Nico's help, had a lot of gold, but took, I think it was like 20 or HP loss trying to push into 8 and barely hitting the Lucian. But I mean, that was a 1-point difference from being, you know, among the players that could win all this game. I think that was really, really big. And unfortunately, kind of a misplay. Of course, it's so hard. There's so many different decisions that you have to make in TFT, and you can never play a perfect game. But at least for Mbappe, you know, needs to, you know, not stress and not worry about it. Just play for the first and then go for first again. It's possible. Players have gone first back-to-back in such high-pressure situations before. For Nukamaro, it's just seeming like it's a bit unlucky as well. Nukamaro has played so solid this game, but we are heading on in now to game number 5 for Odan. It could end with this one.
The potential last game of the Teamfight Tactics Reckoning World Championship is upon us as we head onto one of the persons of interest who's on the outside looking in. Mbappe from Latin America, from Colombia, needs to find a way to get not just a top 4, because he is guaranteed to be at the 18-point threshold, but if he's able to get it first, he secures the right to play for the championship crown. If he does not, then it is in the fate of the other 5 players. We're hopping on board with Delicious Milk, who started off with the Kled and a recurve bow and has 2 Kleds.
Poppy in the shop as well, but is not going to buy it yet, prioritizing that economy. Is going to buy the Poppy right now, but oh man, Milk is really seriously taking it all down to the line of the Kled. Sells the Poppy, makes 10 gold. This is a favored situation here for Delicious Milk. He loves making economy early, loves going potential kind of open fort style. He's in a good spot.
He's in an excellent spot. He's making gold at 1-3.
Yeah.
This is 2 rounds before most people make their first gold, if they're trying to, let alone for people who play for tempo and make their first gold interest maybe at 2-5. He's so far ahead of the curve. An excellent start for Delicious Milk.
Oh man, can he translate that really good start though? He had a decent one last game. He got up to the 8 Hellion, but it was not enough to take down Juan Mi with that Ukshan 2 Aphelios 2 fully capped board. We know that Kled Hellions can take it, but we're gonna have to see. For now though, Chi2 in second place, tied with points with Milk, but it really, of course, comes down to the first place. Maybe playing some early tempo if he decides to level up. It's just 2 Legionnaires, Udyr 2, and 2 Rods. Not a great start for Chi2 wanting to play with these Legionnaires.
Yeah, not really. You don't really want to slam the death cap immediately because there's not many great holders of it, and you do want to keep yourself open to some more higher potential damage, such as combining that rod with that bow. We've been seeing people really favor that Gensu's Rage Blade to get some early momentum going. And with a 4 versus 3, his board's actually reasonably competitive, and Nukamaro's board is not that strong. So this actually might be one of those wins with a 3 versus a 4 unit board. He's able to do that. A big win for Chi2 and a devastating loss for Nukamaru.
Wow, levels to 4 and loses, and wow, Chi2 already levels up. Wants these level 4 shops to come through, recognizes, okay, if I won that one, I want to try to carry this win streak forward and hopefully into Krugs. But the 2-2 armory is going to really dictate if Chi2 is able to do that. Is there going to be a bow potential here for the Rage Blade? And there is a snap pick on that one, and surely a snap slam onto the Rage Blade. Moving over to Juan Mi can, ooh, okay. All right, some Gragas's, some bugs here as well.
This is interesting. He does have the opportunity to reroll Kha'Zix. Part of me feels like this is just a temporary item hold position.
Wow.
He does find an opportunity for a bunch of 2-star units. What should he buy, though?
What's it? I mean, doesn't want to combine the Gragas, right? Because the glove would be stuck on it, and yeah, does not end up going for that. Was playing for a Draconic route as well. Juan Mi still playing for the Draconic game with the kind of, loss streak, make economy, sells the Kha'Zix 2 for this. Juan Mi is all in on a first or eighth style. I love this decision making. I love this play from Juan Mi.
Yeah, the only issue is he does not have Draconic. So
Yeah.
he could be in one of those situations where he's in the Draconic waiting room for a long time. If there's no unit off the carousel, for example, and there's no unit that appear in the shop, how long is he willing to extend a lose streak without the Draconic? But the good news is that he's actually still pretty competitive. Oh my goodness, he's actually going up against this Kled. I believe that it's still going to be a situation where it's very close. His Hellions might still be able to get the win.
Oh,
Juan Mi
the
doesn't
Ash
want
Arrow?
to win.
Oh man, the Ash, the overtime means
No.
Kled wins.
All right.
Ooh, all right. Good for Juan Mi there, taking the loss.
Excellent,
But that is also Xixing She maybe contesting Milk for the Kled build.
It could be. You're right. I didn't actually consider whether or not. Like, so many people have been playing Kled for tempo that I hadn't considered whether or not.
Yeah, he
other
was
people
making
would contest
economy.
them.
I mean, yeah, he was making economy there. Already had 10 gold, had not purchased any XP. It could seriously be that.
Okay, well, it would be the first time we would see someone try to contest Delicious Milk for Kled. If that's the case, we know that that Milk is basically open forwarding to try and lose streak and get those good items. Meanwhile, hopping on board with Esha, 4 units, 4 2-stars. Very powerful in terms of just the abilities to have quality units on the board. Itemization, not slamming his Hand of Justice. Instead of playing for tempo, playing for greed. You're going to see this a lot between the 5 players who are eligible for a first.
Yeah, and Mbappe already slamming Archangels and Runehounds as well. Those items are pretty much only going to go on a Yasuo, but does not have any of those yet, right? Just the Lee Sin on the bench. That is such a bold play from Mbappe.
Yeah, and did Delicious Milk also win this round as well? Very unusual movement happening. Back and forth we go. Milk heading over to the bow. Juan Mi picks up the vest. And if you're in Esha's position, you have an open tier. You're going to make that blue buff on the Ziggs.
Looking for it. It's on a 1 cost. And wow, actually... wait, who got that? Wow, Esha actually got the vest
yeah.
there. I didn't know. They both ran into it almost the same time, it looked like.
Yeah. Okay, so Sunfire Cape is what's on Esha's mind right now, so he can continue to streak. It makes sense. He has sturdy front line, so a pretty good
30
chance for him to
gold.
streak with that. Oh my goodness, 30 gold. He's rich. My
And
man
his
is
board,
rolling
too.
in the dough.
And has a fully upgraded, tier 2 board between 4 units and 30 gold. That is a good spot from Esha. Not being able to full win streak, of course. The only potential member of that 100 HP club is still Chi2, has it right now, but will they be able to maintain it throughout the Krugs? Shurikane, Irelia 2 at this point with
Oh
D-Claw,
my gosh.
Gargoyle Slam. That is such a monster of a front line and will still deal good damage too.
Yeah, the interesting point to me is the Dragon Claw Slam. Not a lot of people would consider that, but when he looks at how many people tend to utilize things like the AP tree to get those first place, that could be his way to counter that and drive tempo. Not to mention that, there's a possibility that it ended up combining with the Irelia on the bench. I'm not entirely sure what is the case here, but either way, Shurikane is in the driver's seat, grabbing back tempo by the horns. And if Chi2 loses, then he's in a pretty good spot to be the person that starts the streak from this point on, because Irelia 2 is so hard to kill when you put items on her.
100%, but going back to that D-Claw Slam as well, I think the only AP lobby win of today, correct me if I'm wrong, was game number 1 with Mbappe and that Zyra 3. So and players have kind of, I think, pivoted away from the AP a lot of times. They're going back into this kind of Lucian Aphelios playstyle. If you have 2 cloaks, it's solid, but could have played for a Runeans, something else there. Have to see if that comes back to bite Shurikane in the butt, or if he's able to make it work.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we did see the one Vel'Koz 3, but let me tell you something. Dragon Claw is not going to stop Vel'Koz 3 from destroying your board. It's just not really the counter that you're looking for. So heard you loud and clear, Crow. And we're hopping on board with Nukumaru, a player that did level and lose, but has since turned the momentum around, utilizing Irelia 2 as an item carrier of the Infinity Edge and the Last Whisper. But Esha's board just looks so strong. There's so much AP damage coming from the back, and Nukumaru is not able to complete the streak here on stage 2.
Esha's just in such a good spot between gold and board strength. Like, I know it's a bit early to say, but Esha is seriously at least starting to put himself in the position of a lobby winning board, assuming that his, level 7, level 8 rolls are good. Esha has kind of been the Vel'Koz whisperer. He has gotten Vel'Koz 3. He has multiple times this tournament hit Vel'Koz 2 on level 7. He could be looking to do that yet again.
Yeah, really fascinating stuff. Nukamaro had a chance to make Hecarim 2. If you made Hecarim 2, you're kind of committing to the Forgotten line. I think maybe in his mind, playing things like Forgottens early with that Cavalier kind of leads you towards Draven. Draven hasn't really been winning the lobbies. He's been doing a good job getting you to top 4, but not able to get the dub. And maybe that's on his mind. He'd rather save his gold up and focus on what his board can do.
Oh, okay. Sixingsha looking like not contesting Melk. Had 3 Kleds, of course, but had already leveled up to 5. A Tome!
A Tome! A Traits! And he can fish for the Hellions! Oh my goodness!
Here we go. Does he for one round just play Hellion so he can get that? He can get that emblem online? I mean, Sejuani 2 is nice for the board strength, but Melk shouldn't really be concerned about board strength right now. That's not really the priority.
It's true, and so he doesn't have to actually sell the Tome for quite some time. He can wait till it's much more favorable to get better traits because Sejuani has 3 of them, and there's been situations where you see Nightbringer and Brawler show up.
Oh, he pops it, and oh no.
Wait,
no
what?
Hellion emblem. Melk.
Wait, what?
Why would he at that point? I mean, the Tristana was in the shop. Melk could have just played a full just 4 Hellion board there, but now he's staring at these options and none of them are good.
What can you even pick? Spellweaver emblem?
I mean, Spellweaver is like the only thing that really does anything, right? And yeah, that's what's he's gonna pick, but that was so disastrous for Melk.
All right, well, does have the opportunity to at least play the Ziggs 2, and the Spellweaver emblem's not dead. You can immediately start having power in that end. Not to mention that there is a possibility that Milk can start supplying some backline damage to Kled. Yes, Kled is the star, but there has been times where we've seen a Ziggs able to help carry as well. Just not in that spot particularly. Things looked really good for Milk for about a minute. And all of a sudden took a nasty left turn. Let's hop on board with Esha. See what's up in his board.
Versus Shurikane, both the top 2 players in HP in the lobby. Dragonclaw Slam is going to be good into this board. Is it going to be enough though? Esha level 6, so is Shurikane. The Dragonclaw procs, the Fireball is starting to hit Ziggs, but it might not be enough, is it? The Legionnaires make their way into the back line, and yes, the Hellions, the rest of the board gets farmed. Esha takes the loss. Shurikane goes on a win streak of his own there. Real important swing of things here for Shurikane.
Yeah, we talked about how Shurikane's just really great at building boards that are a little bit unusual and driving tempo. And we talked about how he can start streaking from that 2-5 carousel onwards, and he's done exactly that. Esha, in the meantime, he is just chilling. When you're playing an AP-based composition, you're not trying to actually spend your gold and roll down for tempo because this is the part of the game where you're the weakest. You're going to ramp up in strength starting from even as early as 3-5 onwards, and then from there, build your advantage to have big bursts and swing those fights. Having this early Ivern is also a big deal because the moment he's able to find the Fiddlesticks and start playing the Abomination, he's going to have a very big power spike. Meanwhile, on Hwan Mi's side, a Legionnaire emblem combined on this Udyr with a very scarce set of items. That Draven condition is looking mighty fine over on Hwan Mi's side.
Yes, it is. Last Whisper, of course, you don't really need that, but Draven can still make use of it. It is not going to be enough to win that round. Udyr 2 is great, but still not good enough. The Ivern passive hit in Esha shop as well, summoning Daisy. That's going to be some massive frontline for Esha to try to get this win streak back online. And wow, Esha's even going to win the 50-50 and Mbappe and pick 3rd in the carousel. That's big as well.
Holy smokes, Hwan Mi just found a Draven with the glove as well on the bench, or on the carousel rather. Some big power spikes, Milk grabbing another glove. Try to see if he can complete potentially the Infinity Edge onto his Kled as we take a look at some of the combined items. Lots of people, many people committing to the AD tree, which incidentally does help out people like Esha, who is committing to the AP tree. Last time Esha went uncontested, he found Vel'Koz 3, and he won the lobby. This is a very good development for Oceania's Esha.
Super, super good development. Shurikane leveling up to 7. Playing 4 Legionnaire, 3 Skirm, 3 Sentinel, 2 Nightbringer board. This is such a strong board for Odan. And take a look at the Nico's help on the bench. It's not going to be used right now, but it will be big for Shurikane's level 7 or 8 pivot. Just needs to find some more items to dictate which direction he wants to go. Just a Rage Blade now as the sole offensive item.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much down to the armory that dictates potentially where his direction goes. He finds a Death Blade. It's going to be smooth sailing in terms of itemization to find a way to make Aphelios work. And we know that how powerful Aphelios has been so far throughout the day, but we also have seen Shurikane use all 80 carries, basically. He's tried all of them and had middling success with a few, but also some resounding success with others. So I'm looking forward to see what Shurikane's able to build going into the 3-6.
Xingqiu used the Kled in the early game to get to this spot. Now takes a loss against Nukamaro. Nukamaro with those attack damage Aurelia items, and now the Radiant Armory. What's this going to be?
Oh, there's a glamorous gauntlet opportunity. We know China loves their Lucian crit builds, and it's super powerful. Is going to make the Hand of Justice as well. And so pretty much going to go back to the basics here. Lucian, a very straightforward comp, 6 Sentinel, build high, have a strong front line, have Galio tank, everything. And in this case, Xingqiu has to also go big. He is one of the players on the outside at 15 points. Even if he gets a first place, the tournament will go on.
It will go on indeed, and we know Lucian 3s have popped up. This could be a position where Xingqiu tries to get that online. There's no frontline items though. There's just the Banshee's Claw and the 3-item Kled that wants to be a Lucian. Even if we get to this full board with the Galio online, he's going to struggle to survive.
It's a Kled battle. Let's just know going up against a crit Kled. That is that's a pretty interesting mirror that I wasn't really expecting on my bingo card for today. I know we thought Xingqiu might be contesting, but it turns out that the Kled is just able to be enough for Xingqiu to crit through. I mean, there's a little bit more crit damage on his.
Oh my, yeah, just a bit. Those 4th hits from Kled were doing a lot of damage there. All right, snaps the loss streak though. Might have wanted to have continued that and maybe hit the stimmy into this round, but Juan Mi. Only members receive the Radiant Blessing, 35 HP. Look at Melk's spot in the game. Melk is not as low as he sometimes is and is still 3 Kleds off. This is not the best case scenario for Melk, especially considering that Tome earlier is Spellweaver.
Yeah, not the best case scenario, not the worst case either. Doesn't have Morello just yet, but he can start working towards that when he finds a belt. He is healthy, as you mentioned, and he has 6 Kleds. He's a little bit behind relative to where we saw him last time on the Hellions.
Yeah, what's he thinking about right now? He's not rolling immediately. Maybe he's taking that time to scout. Finds a Kled, has to sell some units on the bench, but it's okay to drop things like Tristana's for now. One more.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So many cannons as well, that's big. All right. There it is.
Huge moment here for Delicious Milk. He can level, can play the 4th Hellion. And yes, he didn't get the ideal Hellion emblem off the Tome of Traits, but he's still in a pretty good spot in order to do that. Just needs the supporting items around it, and the 4-2 army can help. Going up against Shurikane, the other streaker. Shurikane has found the Aphelios. His Radiant Armory did give him a Warmog, not a defensive item. That's bad news for Shurikane. His streak is in jeopardy, Crowan.
His streak is in jeopardy. The Kled is in the back line, dismounts, and this Aphelios is going to fall and is going to make some quick work of Irelia and the rest of the board as well. Melk hits Kled 3, starts punishing the rest of the lobby. See what he goes
Finds
with here.
the
options. The Morello's potential is here. Could go as well for the Frozen Heart on the cannon from the carousel. He's taken a while to consider this though, but yeah, the belt comes through and another cannon passively in the shop. That's big. This composition really does crutch on the cannon being tier 3, and Melk is in a decent spot to do that. Just 3 more left as we move on over to Cheetah, who is gonna be on the Draven right now. 4 Knights Draven. This is something that we did see a lot in the Chinese regionals, the 4 Knights specifically to protect this Draven, but nowhere near the Draven 2. It only has 1 copy, but has a lot of gold and is going to level to 8 soon.
He's gonna level to 8 and put in the Legionnaires as well. He's willing to take a little bit of damage, maybe go down to the Radiant Blessing. Esha does have the Blues Blessing as well. Very powerful potential cap. Just look at that Ziggs cast over and over,
go.
ramping the Spellweaver traits and keeping safe with that nice corner bait on the Callista. And Draven, without the Legionnaire buff, actually attacks at a reasonable pace. Chi-Chu takes big damage, and I can't help but notice more 3 Chinese players right now are fighting in the bottom 4.
I mean, this is the, a typical kind of play style from China. It's going to be to dip low in HP and send it with a lot of gold, level 8, hit big as well, and stabilize from there. Xixing She, now with that milk dipping below, is in the top 4 scenario right now. But, oh wow, already actually leveling to 8.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Akshan.
Oh my god. If he finds
Is he
another
gonna find
Akshan,
another? Nico's help on the bench, ready, waiting. Maybe even a carousel Akshan as well?
Is he gonna? Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's in his interest to not actually try to win, not roll down, play a weak board or a weaker board. You don't want to take too much damage. You still want to be reasonably competitive.
Yeah.
Chi-Tu is going for the Akshan.
Wow,
and trying to cap
love
out
this.
that way, and he's in a great position to do that.
Going up against Shurikane. Shurikane still not going to be that powerful. Has found a Teemo on the board as well. Chi-Tu may win this one. Take a look at where the Teemo Shrooms go. They have not hit the Akshan as of yet. Another swing around the board as, wow, yeah, the Philios goes down. Chi-Tu is not going to be in carousel range, or is he? There Reli actually is still alive this whole time. Can she do it? Can she out-sustain? Oh man, another Akshan going around the circle, and no, Irelia is just slowly going to fall. It is not going to be enough. Chi-Tu is not first pick on this carousel, has not dropped into the Radiant Blessing range, and there is not an Akshan on this carousel regardless.
Yeah, that's okay, but there's still a 4-cost sword that he can chase. But we're gonna hop on board Nukamaro, who's immediately going for the Draven with the cloak. Not necessarily a great sign when you have to go for the Draven to try to take a first place, but in this case, I think Nukamaro just in the middle of the pack. Not entirely sure if he's just taking that Draven for tempo to play it or to combine something with a component that he has on his bench. He does have Infinity Edge and the Last Whisper. I guess that does make the Ruined Hurricane as well. So from Nukamaro's perspective, he may have just found his carry. That's a 2-star Draven and the Radiant Blessing as well.
All right, gold and an item remover. Does he sell the Lucian, though? He's already in 6 Sentinel. The pivot is going to be doable, but hard to do. And yes, okay, he's going to start to do it. Has the Radiant Zeeks as well. This is great to buff up the Draven. Pivoting into 5 Legionnaires, looking for the 6th. Has not found it yet, though.
Yeah, and for the meantime, just going to play 4 Legionnaire. And I like the 6th Legionnaire, at least spot, because he doesn't have attack built in through a Rage Blade. But this Draven, when it hits, it's going to hit really hard. In a pretty good position, immediately taking out the Fiddlesticks before he can Crow Storm. Akshan walks away, but there's not a lot of damage on this Akshan coming out from Shurikane. And both players who are chasing the Aphelios has now started to move over towards the Akshan to try to go for the capped version of their board. And Draven 2 is just going to completely dunk on this. This is a big opportunity for Nukamaro to make ground while other people are trying to ramp up. On the other side of the equation, players like Hwan Mi are in danger of going 8th.
Oh, this is such a close lobby. No one is really that much farther ahead. It is close on the top end. Chi-Tu. Now, okay, Aphelios too still is trying to roll for this Akshan, though. Hitting it would be big. Hitting it would be potentially lobby winning and turn this streak around. Not hitting it yet.
It just becomes more difficult as more people are pulling these units out of the pool. A lot of people have correctly identified that this is one of their ways, it's one of their tickets to be the world champion if they were to put their eggs in the AD basket. As Chi-Tu does go up against Hwan Mi, fellow player from China, who doesn't look like he's able to convert off that Legionnaire emblem in a very powerful way. Playing Nidalee with Titan's Vow, that's really good as a mid-game. We're deep into stage 4. Is that good enough here?
It might be. I mean, this Nidalee is still doing a lot of work. Going to be super tanky with that. Titan's going to be fully stacked. She jumps to the Akshan. Akshan's going to swing around one more time. Can he do it? No, the Nidalee actually wins. Level 7 Nidalee carry versus Akshan. Nidalee gets the job done.
All right. Well, I mean, it's good enough for now. But again, that board looks pretty capped unless you have to go 3 stars or transition to a different type of carry. If we take a look at the end of stage 4, look at the health totals, Crowan. No one is firmly pulling away. Shurikane just has a 9 HP lead. We know how in stage 5 that can evaporate in a moment. From 2nd all the way even down to 7th is basically just one fight.
Oh, G2 has sold all the Aphelioses, is so all in on this Akshan. We'll have about 40 gold to roll with, but that is an aggressive first place play. Nothing really coming out there in terms of gold from that round, but look at this roll down, Frodan. It's gonna be big.
Oh my
he hits
god,
it!
he found it! The second Akshan, the extra gold that he's rolling down, finds additional units like the Rail 2. And that is going to be an Akshan 2 for G2. He is one of the prime candidates. But look at the Shimano 2-stars. Everybody is getting strong.
Everybody's getting so strong, and Milk is as well. Already has the Cannon 3, the Spellweaver on it as well. Oh man, Ziggs wasn't quite on that board. G2, this Akshan 2.
And Xingqiu on the other side has the crit Lucian, but the Lucian with the culling is not going to be able to hit the Akshan. Chi2's using the Akshan to try to all in and immediately takes out the Lucian in the back on the heroic swing. And that's going to be big damage over to Xingqiu because so many of his units survived. Gallia's not able to do anything on its own.
Oh, G2. Akshan's gonna do this one. Only a Gallia 1 frontline, but for now it doesn't matter. A bit later on it will, so G2 still needs to roll into that, but a 5-2 Armory gives the potential of a Cavalier emblem and takes it and hits the Gallio 2. Oh my, Frodan. We are quickly seeing what could be G2 taking this whole game. This board is insane.
The board is very strong for stage 5 too. It's borderline illegal and he has so much more room to cap out. He has a lot of 1-stars. He could reintroduce Aphelios back into the comp. He could find a way to go 9. This is looking like a world championship board if I've ever seen one in stage 5 too. But there are some other people who are trying to contest, and I will say one thing is that there are some bad matchups for Akshan in the lobby.
Yes.
I wonder if On-Me can actually find a way to make this work. He's at 7 out of 8 Legionnaires.
Crazy. Is in Riven 3 as well. We have not really seen much or any of Riven 3 yet, and it's going to be right next to the Kled. The Kled dismounts, and Riven actually takes out the Kled. This is disastrous for Milk, and great for Hwanmi.
Excellent swap by Hwanmi, out positioning Milk, just go into the corner and instantly be able to stun the Kled. Riven 3 is still quite a force, and we know that China loves their Nidalee 3 Riven 3 Golden Girls build. It's very powerful if you can get online, but I will say that Hwanmi is slightly behind the curve. He does have a Nico's help, one more Nidalee away from greatness, and if we can do that, get 8 Legionnaire builds in, maybe Hwanmi can slowly sneak his way back up to the top?
Hwanmi could do it. I mean, it's a tall order, especially against the board that we saw from Chi2, but there's still boards that we haven't checked in a little bit. There's still Shurikane and Escha up at the top. We know Escha is going a relatively uncontested AP tree. If he hits something like a Vel'Koz 3, that still as well could be lobby winning. He's done it earlier. The potential is there, but for now, Milk trying to dodge a bottom placement.
Well, that Draven is on the correct side, not engaging Kled very early, does end up getting stunned. Nukamoro's in 8th place currently, and him going out means that there's much more likely chance that we do see a world champion crowned in this lobby. Nukamaro takes in 8th place.
Nukamaro in 8th. Xingqiu and Mbappe are the only players now that can push us into a game number 6. Escha looks like he's hit a Karma board. Now being pushed into Radiant Blessing range as well.
There's a Banshee's Claw, there's some emblems, there's some power on this board, but it's AP focused and anti-AP. There's a lot of utility that could be introduced here, but nothing that just screams out to me like this is going to be the item that swings the game outside of that Banshee's Claw that Mbappe took.
Yeah, not great items for Escha either. Just a frontline one, the Dragon's Claw. But again, remember, not many other players are going to be playing AP in this game, if any. It is going to get a little bit of value.
Oh, wait.
Radiant Blessing, the remover. I mean, this Fiddlesticks is very, very strong.
Wait,
Only has 2 Spellweavers, though. Is he going to pivot? He is.
Yes,
oh,
yes,
yes, he can pop off the D-Claw.
Excellent. And he has the Spellweaver board. This is a material. This is a board that can actually get a lot done. The problem is that he does have to be mindful of how other people's boards can get to his back line because he doesn't have a Banshee's Claw.
He's still rolling at this point. I mean, Escha, there's not much to roll for besides, I mean, the Volibear 2. It's going to be big, but... Oh, man.
See, the Riven 3 is just slicing and dicing his front line. The Vel'Koz's been exposed. Not focusing on the positioning. Escha's going to take big damage. There's no Nidalee 3, though. Still from the other side. Jisingcha also is still, or rather, I apologize, as Chi2 is one taking the loss here. Hwan Mi is now on a streak with his Nidalee 3, Riven 3 attempt. Delicious Milk is down to 6th place, and Bape out in 7th.
Oh, Poppy in 7th means that Xingcha is the only player now that can win and deny the rest of the lobby. It is growing more and more likely, Frodan, with each passing round that this is going to be the final game. And from this spot, it is not looking like Milk is going to be the one claiming that.
No, it does not. I think Delicious Milk's going to drop off here somewhere, maybe 5th place at best. I think the lobby's just gotten too strong. I think his Force Spellweaver build is quite scuffed. No Teemo that he can buy. Delicious Milk is probably destined for a bot 4 here.
Oh, runs into Legionnaire board again, and this is the board that took him out previously, and it's looking to do the same again. The Kled is on the Riven, but she's just gonna go a couple autos and take out the Kled. This is going to be it for Milk, or is it? Yes, it's looking like it. The Ziggs 1 pops out, but it's not enough. Milk goes out in 6th.
And there it goes. Japan down. Latin America down. North America down. Oceania on the brink. Escha down to 4 HP. We're checking back in with Jisingcha. Trying to see if his 6 Sentinel board can do it.
It's looking good.
Well, he does end up taking the loss here as he's not able to take out the opposing Akshan. And it comes down to the end of stage 5, a Hand of Justice, an okay item.
Yeah.
But if we took a look at, there's still 5 players remaining, and 4 of them are eligible to win.
Oh man, Xingcha not in a position for Lucian 3. Maybe an Akshan 2. I mean, a 4 Cannoneer Lucian board is so strong. The question is, will it be strong enough? Shurikane also on an Akshan 2. Wow, so many powerful boards in this lobby.
Beginning of stage 6 here. Every single decision, every single way you position your comp, what you're choosing to roll for, what you're selling for, all of it matters so much, Crowan. As we take a look at Jisingcha's board, he's chasing to see if he can find a way to 2-star his units. Escha has to figure out which side he wants to clump on and how he wants to utilize his Spellweaver Fiddlesticks.
Escha is just rolling every single round for the Vel'Koz 3, but it's still 3 off on a 3-loss streak. It's looking like OCE may not be the world's winner. Escha is praying for good positioning, and it's decent. No. But no, Akshan is going to be able to get to the backline.
Oh, this Akshan 2 is just so powerful, and the Heroic Swing is going to challenge the backline Vel'Koz. The beam is going to miss it completely. Oh. Akshan does get turned temporarily, but now he's going to Heroic Swing one more time, and it's up to the Vel'Koz to be able to end it. But with 4 life, it's so unlikely.
No.
Oh no, Escha's eliminated from the World Championship in Game 5. Jisingcha now down to 2 HP in 4th place, which means that we would have our World Champion. It's going to be one of those 3 players if Jisingcha bites the dust.
Oh, and Hwan Mi has hit the Nidalee 3 as well. This 8 Legionnaire board, we have not seen it all tournament, but it is a strong one. This is definitely in contention for the victory. A 7-win streak here for Hwan Mi. Can he do it, Frodan? This is so insane of a game.
If he wins with this variation, an 8 Legionnaire, double emblem, not even utilizing Draven as the primary carry, it would just be very fitting that Hwan Mi could take the World Championship on behalf of China. We'll have to find out. Chi2 versus Hwan Mi. This is the battle between the 2 strongest boards in the lobby. A battle between 2 players in China. Nidalee jumping to the back. Heroic Swing away, not able to run away from the Legionnaires in time, and Hwan Mi delivers a big critical blow to Chi2.
And on the other side here, Xingcha is going to lose, is going to go down. We know that this will be the final game, Frodan. And with that last round from Hwan Mi, it looks like he might be the one taking it.
The only X factor here is Shurikane. We've seen what Hwan Mi and Chi2 ends up being. Hwan Mi, the player who made an appearance at the Face Championship. He was the highest placing Chinese player at 11th place. There's a lot left to be done and said for Hwan Mi. He came back strong for the Set 5 Reckoning World Championship, and he's trying to do it with a very unusual board. Could you want it any other way? He's going up against the clone of Chi2 and see if he can do it. No, I apologize. This is actually Shurikane's board, and this is very telling whether or not we're going to be looking at a world champion.
Yes, let's see this fight result. It does end up mattering. Chi2 and Shurikane, of course, matters a lot as well. Every single round right now could be their last, and Shurikane is going to do it and eliminate Chi2. It is just a 1v1, but Hwanmi lost the other fight.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Can Shurikane from Europe do this? He takes the Zeke's Herald away.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
Shurikane instead goes for the blue buff. It's a EU versus China showdown for the World
Yes.
Championship.
Is it going to be China getting it for the first time, or Shurikane bringing the title back to Europe? Every single move right now is pivotal. A Teemo 2 with the blue buff, that is insane. With the attack speed slow into the Legionnaires, it depends on where can Nidalee jump, where can the Akshan be able to get that value in, and how long can this front line hold on? It's just a Volibear 1 and a Fiddle 2, Frodan.
Oh, a backline reposition at the last second. Is this the way Hwanmi wants it to go down? Is this the fight for the championship? We'll have to find out. Heroic swing from the back. Nidalee aspect Liqueur onto the back line. Teemo trying to slow everything down as much as he can with his mushrooms. And the Akshan is working. Nidalee is on the revive. Shurikane is barely alive. And it is now down to his last life. If he is going to do this, he needs to win out from here.
A Gwen goes in on the board now. The shop, look at the golds of both players, are not able to do anything else in terms of improving their board besides for the positioning. It was a Legionnaire win. We know it can go the other way. Positioning, great for the Legionnaires. Can they do it again?
The backline positioning worked out so well last time, but this time we're moving up. We're splitting up the front. Hwanmi once again rearranging. Everything shuffled to the back for Shurikane, trying to protect his Teemo. And here we go, the fight for the World Championship title. The initial Doombringer starting the back line. Teemo is still trying to occupy it with the mushrooms, and the Horror Swing back. Akshan is down. Hwanmi is cornering everything. The day of reckoning has arrived. China has done it. Hwanmi is your Teamfight Tactics Reckoning World Champion.
Oh my god, Hwanmi, an 8 Legionnaire build, such flawless play, is going to take it. What a game, Frodan. There were so many cap boards, so many Akshan 2s. We thought that it could have gone over to Shurikane there. The Legionnaire board bled, but really the repositioning there, every single crucial moment led to Hwanmi bringing the TFT World Champion title to China. Could not be more proud for the whole region for the tournament performance, returning from Set 4 championship, saying that was not good enough. I want to go for the first place, and has done it. What a game. What a way to end off this event.
Incredible.
Oh
Incredible.
my gosh. Wow, I mean, coming down to the final moments, you kind of had no idea who was going to be able to take the World Championships, but it's Hwanmi from China taking the win and closing out set number 5. I mean, Frodan, talk me through this once again. 8 Legionnaire? Really?
It's the way that he did it too, you know, the fact that he identified a way to fuse 2 compositions and put them to one. When a lot of people reroll Nidalee, they reroll Riven, they put them together, and they build a Dawnbringer board. But instead, he recognized with the Legionnaire emblem, he had an out the